Alice, is breakfast ready yet? A hurried male voice called out. Yeah, it's ready. You're not late. Why are you in such a rush? The girl replied, setting plates on the table. I already told you that today our company is launching its first game. Your dear brother has been working on it for a long time. This is my first full-fledged job, said Paul Diaz, devouring the meal prepared by his sister's skillful hands. I don't want to be late. Besides, it's better to arrive early in case a problem comes up that needs immediate attention. Paul, an employee of Alritex Entertainment, took his responsibilities very seriously, doing everything he could to ensure the game's perfect launch. He still vividly remembered the struggles he faced while trying to support his family. Fortunately, Alex Reith hired him, changing his life dramatically. Paul's mother was now receiving proper care at the hospital, and his sister appeared happier and livelier than ever. No longer did he have to worry about saving money for food or clothes. Paul knew who was behind these life-changing improvements, and he worked hard to meet the expectations placed on him. The game is called Subway Surfers, right? I'll definitely download it today. I'm excited to see what kind of game Alex Reith has created, Alice said with eager eyes. Listening to her, Paul sighed quietly. Ever since he mentioned his employer to the family, Alice had been searching for any news about Alex online. With their improved financial situation, she even bought all 4 books written by him. Alice quickly became one of his most devoted fans. When she saw a video of him playing the piano, she was utterly captivated. Brother, when will you show me your workplace? You know how much I want to meet Alex Reith. Alice, have mercy on me. I can't just bring you to my workplace. What if something happens and I get fired? Listen, I promise I'll take you there in the future. Okay, but remember, you promised. Now finish your food and go. I'll be waiting impatiently for the game's release. Hillary, it's today, right? Yes, Megan, today. I'm feeling a little nervous. Me too. I'm so excited. Do you think Alex Reith can work his magic again? Or will this be his first failure? Hillary, a video blogger, and her friend Megan were eagerly anticipating the launch of Subway Surfers. This was Alritex Entertainment's first game. Until now, Alex had achieved success in every venture, books, music, or otherwise. His piano composition, River Flows Anew, was particularly well loved. Now, for the first time, Alex was stepping into the gaming industry. Creating a game that captures an audience's attention is no small feat, especially for a new company. Many people who had witnessed Alex's meteoric rise were watching this launch closely. I don't know what will happen, said Hillary, but I feel like we're about to witness another miracle. Alex is off. Early in the morning, I woke up from restless sleep. Today marked the official launch of Subway Surfers, and it was an incredibly significant day. Everyone's ambitions are some big, some small, some buried deep inside. My goal is to make Alritex Entertainment the world's largest entertainment conglomerate. I want my company to have the final say in Hollywood. The first step toward this vision is Subway Surfers, whose success is vital. It will show whether a game from another world can thrive here. Success could propel a fledgling company to become a media powerhouse. Subway Surfers is a mobile platformer game, primarily designed for phones and tablets, though also playable through browsers on PCs. The story begins with the player's character painting graffiti on a train car. An inspector and his dog spot this, triggering a chase along the railway tracks. The player's objective is to run as far as possible, dodging trains and overcoming obstacles. The game's simplicity is what makes it so appealing. By 8 a.m., I arrived at the office, only to find the employees already bustling with activity. The management is late as usual, my assistant Heather remarked with a neutral expression. They're not late, just delayed, Barbara quipped, adjusting her red hair. I offered a weak smile. Thank you all for your hard work during this time. Your efforts have been invaluable. I hope we can build the best gaming company together. Without your dedication and expertise, this would not be possible. Looking around at the team, I asked, is everyone ready? Yes, came the resounding reply. In that case, let's proceed with the launch. Only our chairman can take such an important step, Miss Gordon said with a smile. Let's support him with a round of applause. The employees' faces were a mix of excitement, hope, and nervousness. We had poured our hearts and souls into this game, and now it was ready for the world. Sitting at my computer, I gripped the mouse and quietly clicked the confirmation button. For all the commotion leading up to this moment, the launch itself was surprisingly simply a single click. And just like that, it was done. Subway Surfers was free to download for the first 5 days. Afterward, players needed to pay 50 cents to continue. Additionally, the game offered in-app purchases for items, gold coins, and new characters. Turning to the staff, I took a deep breath. Remember what I told you, to keep players engaged, we need monthly updates. The game's visuals should change completely with each update. In January, the player runs from a policeman in Chicago. In February, from a mustachioed inspector in Paris, and in March, they're chased through the vibrant city of Tokyo. Each location will feature unique backgrounds, trains, and exclusive characters available only during that period. Players won't be able to choose the city, so they'll change automatically. This approach will keep the game fresh and exciting. Don't worry, Alex. I've planned for everything, Barbara assured me. We started preparing the next update 2 days ago. Nothing will go wrong, trust me. Thanks, Barbara. That's a relief. 3 days had passed since the launch. On the first day, Subway Surfers was downloaded by 500,000 players, a remarkable number indicating strong public interest. Everyone at the company let out a collective sigh of relief. The game found its audience, which means we did not fail. However, it's worth mentioning the $30 million I spent on advertising. As the results show, it was worth it. On the second day, the game was downloaded by more than 2.5 million people. My employees froze, their mouths agape. Such figures signaled a phenomenal result, indicating that the game was becoming popular. More people, either through media ads, forum discussions, blogs, or word of mouth, learned about the game. They downloaded Subway Surfers on their computers, tablets, and phones. By the third day, downloads exceeded 4 million. The company's employees couldn't believe their eyes. Once they confirmed the figures were real, they burst into applause. 7 million downloads in 3 days exceeded my expectations. My idea was a success. Even in this world, the game was climbing to the top. Alex, how do you do it? Barbara asked with a suspicious tone. Whatever you touch succeeds. Books, music, now games. What's next? Movies and TV series? Sure, we'll get there. Don't forget animated cartoons. They rake in colossal revenue from toys and merch. Luckily, this doesn't concern me. I'm the director of the mobile games division. So, in 3 days, here's the situation. Out of 7 million players, 314,000 purchased the license rights. And the game is still free for 5 days. Additionally, users have made in-game purchases totaling $112,000. In 3 days, we've earned $269,000. Not bad. What do you think, Barbara? You want my opinion? Then listen. Broken bar. This is simply unthinkable. I understand the game's appeal, so its popularity isn't surprising. But I'm amazed you came up with it. It seems too simple to be interesting, yet it hooks you once you play. Alex, your creative ideas are treasures that can bring mountains of wealth. Are you absolutely sure you're not a mutant? Batman already checked no mutations. Yes, Batman recently asked for my DNA to check for mutations. Not only do I have uncanny intuition, but I also possess a spatial pocket. The results were negative. Of course, I kept my player system abilities to myself. What's our next step? Miss Gordon inquired. For now, focus on future updates. They're due in a month. Also, ensure the game runs smoothly. Today, I went straight to the richest man in Gotham City, Bruce Wayne. Why? You'll find out soon enough. Entering his office, I greeted him and took a seat. Alex, what brings you to my company? Bruce asked, glancing up from his paperwork. I came to visit. I thought you'd be here, bored out of your mind. To cheer you up, I brought a little book of my own creation. I placed a thick manuscript on his desk, pulling it from my inventory. The book about the clown? Yes. I promised to write it, and here it is. Sorry it took so long. It's a bit broken bar voluminous. But don't worry, you'll love it. I'm sure the Joker will, too. I have no doubt, Wayne replied dryly. Let's discuss terms. I offer you 10%. Ahem. I must have misheard. Could you repeat that? 10%. Silence lingered in the office. Last time, we agreed on 35%. The situation has changed. What are you saying? My books have made your company a fortune. Cut me some slack. 30%, 13%, because you're my nominal student, he replied with a sly grin. Don't you realize this is your chance to troll the Joker? 25%. Alex, isn't this our final collaboration? You plan to publish independently soon, right? I can stretch to broken bar. 15%. Damn, he knows that too. Why am I surprised? He's Batman, the world's greatest detective. He probably knows what color socks I'm wearing. Our haggling lasted another half hour. I defended my interests with valor. Eventually, we settled on 20%. With royalties paid monthly instead of weekly. The initial print run would be 5 million copies. It a broken bar. Interesting title, Bruce remarked, skimming the manuscript. By the way, congratulations on the game's successful launch. Thanks, we worked hard. Have you downloaded it? Of course not. Alex, would you consider selling your company? Is there interest? Wayne Enterprises finds Subway Surfers commercially compelling. What do you say? I hadn't considered selling. Out of curiosity, what's your offer? $500 million. Wow, how stingy! I exclaimed theatrically. Still, a generous offer, but clearly, you're not interested. Of course not. I have enough ideas to grow the company into a rival for Wayne Enterprises. Short-term gains don't tempt me. Sorry, Bruce. My company is like my child. I won't part with it. But I'm sure we'll collaborate in other ways. I'm always open to profitable business proposals. Nice doing business with you, Bruce. I shook his hand. By the way, I can't make it to training today. Oh, and don't forget 3 days from now, we're throwing a party to celebrate the game's release. It's at Quiet Backwater Restaurant, 5 in the evening. Don't skip it, or I'll poke holes in all your raincoats. I warned him with a smile. Alex is off. It's been exactly a week since the game launched. I wouldn't say much has changed in that time. Yet just a few small, key moments. Let's start with the fact that I finally got my own place to live. I found an apartment overlooking the serene Gotham River. It's one of the most stunning condominium buildings in the entire city. The 40-story building offers only 40 apartments, one on each floor. My apartment is at the very top and consists of 5 bedrooms, 600 square meters of living space, and a sprawling private terrace of 160 square meters. The residential complex itself boasts a beautiful landscape design, a lobby styled in classic elegance, and exquisite architecture. The apartment features panoramic windows, sliding glass doors, enormous master bedrooms, spacious living areas, and glass showers accessible directly from the open terrace. All of this cost me $25 million, which definitely hit my wallet hard. At this point, I had managed to save $36 million. To be honest, I hadn't planned to spend it so recklessly. My goal was to reinvest it into the company, as we'd soon need to expand, and that requires solid capital. But in the past, I'd given myself my word, as soon as we launched Subway Surfers, I'd get myself a proper home. Damn, who made me say that? But once you give your word, you have to keep it, even if it's a promise to yourself. Maybe it sounds stupid, but that's my principle. If you set a goal, you must achieve it. No excuses like, I'll do it later should ever be heard. Let's close the topic of real estate and return to reality. The main event of this evening is a celebratory party in honor of the success of our first mobile game. I had just arrived at the restaurant where the event was being held. I got out of the car, walked around it, and opened the door on the passenger side to help a charming lady in a blue dress step out. Did I tell you that you look absolutely stunning in this dress? Yes, and this is the 3rd time, Vicky replied with a playful smile. In that case, Miss Vale, let's not keep anyone waiting, I said as we walked toward the restaurant. But come to think of it, we have so many memories tied to this place. We had our first date here and even shot a video clip. That's why I hope tonight brings even more pleasant memories, she said, her voice soft. And I have a feeling they'll be more intense this time. I'll try to make that happen. I replied with a hint of mystery. The restaurant was already packed with guests. The moment they noticed us, the hall erupted with applause. Once the excitement settled, I began greeting everyone. The first people I encountered were Gotham's Finest Commissioner Gordon and some of his officers. Commissioner Gordon, glad to see you. Thank you for coming. I couldn't miss this event. After all, this isn't just your company's success, Alex. It's also the first major project under my daughter's leadership. I was a bit worried about her new role at first. If you had failed, your company could have gone bankrupt, and all her hard work would have been wasted. I'm glad it didn't come to that, and I'm equally glad, I said, chuckling before turning to the person standing beside him. Ren, how's my favorite detective doing? She's thriving and looking great, Montoya said with a sly grin. The place is quite cozy. You shot your video here, right? Yes, the restaurant owners are good friends of mine. They let us film here. You know, I'd look great in one of your videos too. Hint, hint. Got it. Next time I shoot a video, I'll definitely call you. Deal. Oh, and meet my partner, Detective Harvey Bullock, she said, gesturing toward a large man in his 50s. Gordon and I dragged him here, otherwise he'd be stuck at the station all night. He's been in a bit of a mood lately, and we thought this might cheer him up. Don't get your hopes up, Ren, Bullock said gruffly, extending his hand to me. Nice to meet you, Alex. I'm Harvey. Nice to meet you, too. I've heard a lot about you, Detective. I'm glad you came along with your friends tonight. Well, I don't know about them, but I came for the free food. I haven't eaten all day, so I'm diving in. If no one objects, be my guest, I called after him as he walked off. Harvey Bullock, quite the character. He's a seasoned detective, hardened by Gotham's criminal underbelly. He knows better than anyone that justice in a city like Gotham often requires bending the rules. He may resort to immoral acts for a greater cause, but he's still fair. At least I know I can trust him. After that, I spotted two familiar silhouettes, Bruce and Dick. Bruce, Dick, glad you two could make it, I greeted my teacher, sir, or tormentors, depending on how you see it. Where's Alfred? He stayed at the estate, Dick replied. The old man doesn't care for these social gatherings, though he doesn't mind dragging Bruce through them. He glanced slyly at Wayne. Thank Alfred, by the way. If it weren't for him, Gotham's most eligible bachelor wouldn't be here tonight. Really? I'll have to thank Alfred. Bruce, come on, don't be silent to say something. I finished it, he said out of nowhere. What? When did you even find time to read it? Seriously? It's only been 3 days, and that book about a clown is massive. The other day, he replied as though it was the most obvious thing in the world. Groundbreaking work. I'm impressed. And how'd you like Pennywise? I raised an eyebrow, waiting for his response. I've had enough talk about clowns in this city, he said flatly. Let's skip the details. As you wish. The important thing is, don't leave early, I added. There'll be a small performance at the end. With that, I left the two heroes. I spent the next while greeting my employees and their families, all of whom had been invited to celebrate our success. Among them, I distinctly remembered Paul Diaz's younger sister. Then, I greeted my employees and their family members, who, of course, were also invited to rejoice at our successes with us. Among them, I remember Paul Diaz's younger sister the most. Mr. Reith, I'm very glad to meet you. I'm a big fan of yours, the girl blurted out with a happy face, looking into my eyes. I like your books, composition, and also the game you came up with. Really? It makes me so happy when you have such beautiful fans supporting you. Paul, you have a wonderful sister. I looked at my employee. You are right. I am very lucky to have her. She supported me in difficult times. Without her, I would have given up long ago. She is very reasonable and hardworking. When our mother fell ill, it was she who took on the care of the house on her fragile shoulders. As far as I can remember, Alice, I have never been interested in anything. She devoted all her time to studying. And when a misfortune happened in our family, she withdrew into herself. I wanted her to find some hobby to distract herself. However, due to difficult financial problems, she discarded this idea. Now, thanks to you, our family's situation has improved. And she was able to find something that makes her smile and be happy. He finished his monologue, looking at his sister with warmth. And I didn't even know that I had such an influence on his family. I wonder if I had a sister in the past world? The memories are vague. Perhaps in the future I will be able to find the answer to this question. Alice, I turned to the little girl. How old are you? It's not polite to ask a lady her age, she muttered, puffing out her cheeks. She recently turned 13, Paul answered for her. Brother. She looked at her brother with a displeased and condemning look. I suppose she didn't want to seem too small in front of me. That's why she didn't want to mention her age. What do you want to be when you grow up? Me. She looked at Paul with doubtful eyes. I've always dreamed of becoming an actress and making movies. But I understand that it's a very difficult job, and success, in most cases, depends on luck. My brother approached himself a lot for choosing the profession of a game programmer. After all, it brought him a lot of suffering. And I don't want him to worry about me as well. That's why I haven't decided what exactly I'm going to do yet. But you already know what you want to be. No need to destroy your dream. Strive to become a famous actress and a great director. I will help you in these endeavors. Really? The girl asked in an uncertain and at the same time happy voice. Sir Heath, this is a broken bar. Don't worry, Paul. I feel a kindred spirit in your sister. And I also want her to be happy. I will not harm her, I hastened to calm my nervous brother. Thank you. He thanked me, lowering his head. So, study hard, Alice. When you grow up, you will make wonderful films. Leaving the young girl with her brother, I met with Barbara and Heather. No serious incidents occurred. Looking at the two of them, I asked. Don't worry, the evening is going very peacefully, Barbara said. Even somehow surprisingly, Heather supported the conversation. Enough, you'll jinx it, I said in a worried tone. There are even more people than I thought, said Miss Gordon, looking at the room full of people. You even managed to drag Bruce here. I'm simply amazed. Now, many will understand that our modest company has a rather good relationship with the chairman of Wayne Enterprises. I think this is a good sign, my assistant noted, adjusting her glasses. While we were talking, Madame Alexandra and Sir Maxwell approached us. Hello, Alex. The owner of the restaurant greeted me. Well, you surprised me again. I didn't know that you had such a good relationship with Bruce Wayne. Despite the fact that he behaves like a spoiled rich kid, he is a very good person. Do you know Bruce? Yes, and not only that. I was friends with his father in the past. An old story, Sir Maxwell said. Alex, I think it's time for you to give a speech, said Madame Alexandra. As always, you are right. I will begin immediately, I said, heading towards the piano. Having pressed the keys several times, I successfully attracted everyone's attention. Hello, let me introduce myself again. I am Alex Reith. I am grateful to you for coming to support us today. The company Alratex Entertainment organized this event to celebrate the success of our first mobile game, Subway Surfers. I hope everyone has heard of this game? I asked jokingly. Not everyone knows, but just recently, I was simply a nobody. No one even knew about my existence here. Broken bar, but one day everything changed. I will not dwell on this in detail. I will simply express my sincere gratitude to one specific person. Without him, there would be no tonight. This person saw something in me and offered to help. Of course, I did not refuse and asked my benefactor for $1 million. After what was said, quiet laughter was heard in the hall. And do you know what he did? He gave me this $1 million. Can you imagine? I was shocked as well. True, I missed a few key details of the story. But let's not get hung up on the little things. This man's name is well known in this city. Gotham's most eligible bachelor, billionaire, playboy and philanthropist, Bruce Wayne. Please greet this man. All attention in the hall was focused on the large figure of a man holding a glass of champagne in his hand, and after a short silence, applause poured in. Bruce, I express my sincere gratitude to you. Thanks to you, I founded my small enterprise. And now, after some time, we have achieved our first success. I have no merit in this. You have achieved all this through your own labor, Alex. Bats took the floor. You are a genius. Such a person cannot remain a nobody all his life. Even without my help, you would have been reborn like a phoenix. Maybe he is right, but I still owe him. Without his help, It would have taken me a lot of time and effort to get to where I am now. You should not devalue the meaning of time. It is precious. In my case, even more so. My company began its ascent with a mobile game. The next step is computer games. I do not know how much time it will take to turn Albratex Entertainment into the largest company in the entertainment industry. But I hope that those people who helped me successfully create the game Subway Surfers will continue to support me and lead the company to the top. One person cannot achieve much. He needs allies whom he can trust and who will help him in difficult times. Let's move forward together. I raised a glass of juice, finishing my speech. The hall immediately burst into thunderous applause. And while people were comprehending my words, I quietly sat down at the white piano. Having knocked on a few keys, I again cast my gaze into the restaurant hall. The room suddenly fell silent, and everyone carefully watched me. I hope no one will mind if I play a few compositions. The noise on the stage gradually died down, and people froze in anticipation of the performance. The first melody that I am going to perform, I think, is familiar to everyone. I hope so. It is called River Flows in You. The gazes of those present were directed only at me, but I was not worried. My heart was absolutely calm. The prelude, like a sudden rain on a summer evening, emerged as my fingers touched the black and white keys. Today I played not only for the guests in the audience but also for myself. I had completed the first step on the path to the top of Hollywood, and I wanted to release the emotions boiling inside me. Therefore, today's performance was also my self-expression. From this point on, my path would become more thorny. I knew it. I was ready. After finishing, I silently stared into space, saying nothing for a long time. Taking a deep breath, I freed myself from the overwhelming feelings and heard applause flying in my direction. Thank you. Receiving such a loud ovation, I dare to assume that you liked my first composition. I even managed to shoot a video for this music here, in this very restaurant. However, not many people have heard the second melody that I am going to play, but they say it is no worse than the first. Now you can decide for yourselves. I call it Corazondanite tilde plus minus O. This composition was a little faster than the previous one, but it had its own special charm. The music transported me into the state of mind of the composer who had created it. There is no greater happiness for a composer than to write a simple melody that, in 5 or 10 years, becomes a folk song, even if the name of its creator is forgotten. I wondered how I would feel in the future when others played or sang my music. As these thoughts ran through my head, I finished my performance. The restaurant burst into thunderous applause and joyful exclamations again. So, what do you think about this composition? Wonderful. Yes, this music went straight to my heart. I don't have enough words to describe my feelings. After listening to the audience's impressed opinions, I smiled, satisfied. Thank you. Today's event is very important for me, so I do not plan to end my performance with only 2 compositions. Please evaluate my third musical creation. I have not performed it anywhere before. You will be the first to hear it. My words stirred a certain pride in the audience. After all, being the first to hear new music from a composer is a rare privilege. It's called Una Mattina. The moment the piano keys began to play again, my gaze drifted forward into the void. Countless memories flooded my mind. Una Mattina, in the morning, was a piece by the Italian neoclassical composer Ludovico Einaudi. I/N. Una Mattina does not have a direct translation in English, but in some contexts, it can be interpreted as in the morning or one morning. The melody sounded calm and leisurely, like admiring drops of dew on leaves and flowers during an early sunny morning. The beauty of music lies not in effects and harmonic curiosities but in simplicity and naturalness. That was exactly how this melody felt. The audience, hearing the composition for the first time, was emotionally overwhelmed. The entire hall fell into complete silence. Only the resonating sounds of the piano remained. The music gradually faded, but the emotions in the room lingered. Everyone remained silent, as though spellbound, while an indescribable energy seemed to grow in the crowd. Third person Poff. The spectators quietly watched the young man who had managed, once again, to surprise them with his musical talent. He created masterpieces effortlessly, as though it were second nature. The compositions performed today touched the hearts of everyone present. Yes, Everyone. Bruce Wayne sat quietly in the hall, still overcome by the music's powerful emotional pull. The melodies had an enchanting quality that calmed his soul, like a warm memory resurfacing. For a brief moment, he returned to the past, to days spent happily with his parents. These memories warmed his long cold heart. Fixing his gaze on the young man at the piano, Bruce found himself wishing that he would play once more. Alex Ispoff, thank you all for your support. I will not keep you waiting for long. The next composition is called Nouvelle Bianche. This was another masterpiece by Ludovico Einaudi. Nouvelle Bianche, White Clouds. The audience quietly basked in the new melody, as though soaking in the warm rays of the sun. This time, I did not enter a state of complete immersion in the music. Instead, I scanned my surroundings. Several people were filming my performance from different angles. It was worth mentioning that I had allowed today's concert to be recorded. I planned to upload the video to my channel. Of course, many would have chosen to keep these compositions secret, but I believed this approach would serve as excellent advertising for the future. My first album will include 10 compositions, 5 of which I intended to release to the public beforehand. I had a strong conviction that once music lovers heard my works are each worthy of being called a masterpiece, they would immediately want to hear the rest. After all, if a composer could produce 5 great pieces of music, wouldn't the other 5 be just as remarkable? My fingers touched the final key, and the melody ended. The restaurant fell into silence once more. The audience froze like statues. No one spoke or moved, everyone still captivated by the music until the final chord disappeared into the air. I glanced around the room, searching for a familiar figure in a blue dress. When my eyes met Victoria's, a dazzling smile lit up my face. Without looking away from the red-haired journalist, I said, "Dear guests, the next piece will conclude my performance today." My words, like a sudden explosion, threw the audience into a flurry of disappointment. It may be the last one, but this composition holds great meaning for me. I'll tell you a little secret. It will become the main track in my first album. And my music album will bear the same name as this Mélodie Marriage d'amour. In my past world, this French piano piece had a rich history. Marriage d'amour, Marriage of Love, was composed by Paul de Senneville and first performed by the pianist Richard Clayderman. Due to a mistake, it was wrongly attributed to Chopin and became widely known as Spring Waltz. I hoped that such confusion wouldn't happen in this world. I brought my hands to the keys once again and began to play. The hall filled with the poignant beauty of Marriage d'amour. My emotions flowed with the melody, the notes gently carrying me forward as though guiding me toward my dreams. Beautiful and touching music filled the hall. In that moment, Vicky Vale experienced waves of conflicting emotions. When Alex looked into her eyes, it was as though he was dedicating the final composition to her. He's giving me this melody? The thought flashed through her mind. The box of chocolates, the book The Little Prince, her portrait painted by him, and now this heartfelt piece, destined to be the centerpiece of his album. All the walls of contradiction and doubt she had built in her heart against this young genius crumbled. It felt as though water behind a dam had finally overflowed and burst. Listening to the melody, Victoria felt an overwhelming obsession building inside her. After all, no painting, no words, could capture the purest, most intimate content of the heart the way music could. Alex Ispoff, having played the final note, I closed the piano lid and stood up. "Thank you," I said simply. The applause began. At first, there were isolated claps, but soon people seemed to awaken from a deep trance. The applause grew stronger and louder as everyone followed suit. Their gazes were fixed on me as they clapped with all their might. The scattered claps became unified, transforming into a rhythmic wave of admiration. I stepped away from the piano and made my way toward my friends. "Alex, that was magnificent," Madame Alexandra said enthusiastically. "I can't wait for the moment your album is released. I'm eager to see the impact it will have on the masses. Hurry up and finish the remaining compositions. With your talent, I'm sure they'll be extraordinary." "Madame Alexandra, your praise flatters me. I will try my best to finish the album as soon as possible, but I simply don't have enough time right now. The release might be delayed." "That's no problem. Sir Maxwell interjected. There's no need to rush. You must take your time and create musical works worthy of standing alongside today's performances. Of course, I replied, turning to the two young women beside me. And what do you think? Not a bad addition to the evening, Heather remarked calmly, though I could tell she was just as impressed as everyone else. It was simply magical, Barbara exclaimed, unable to contain her excitement. Honestly, I'm tired of being surprised. From today, I'll just take your achievements as a given. I've realized you're some kind of anomaly in this world. Ahem. Female intuition at its finest. She hit the nail on the head. After all, I really am an anomaly in this world. Women are terrifying creatures. A broken bar. Afterward, I had a quick chat with our police officers, who were preparing to leave. Soon, others began making their way out as well. Bruce, are you leaving already? Yes, Batman replied, his voice slightly subdued. Alex, thank you for tonight. You helped me remember the warmth and joy I received from my parents, feelings I'd begun to forget. I need to head home. This was getting increasingly serious. I hadn't expected such words from him. I suspected he wanted to return to his estate, perhaps to look at his parents' portrait and spend time with Alfred, his second father. Having taken on so much as Batman, he had sacrificed so much of himself. The evening was drawing to a close, and as guests continued to disperse, I decided not to linger either. Taking Vicky by the hand, I left the restaurant. So, did you enjoy tonight? I asked casually. I can't say no, but I still want more, Vicky replied sweetly. How about a cup of coffee at my place? I asked, a sly gleam in my eyes. I wouldn't mind, she agreed in a teasing tone, and we drove to my apartment. Alex, when will you finally give me an interview about your game's success? Right now. Ask your questions, Madam Reporter. Hee. In that case, let's begin. So Reeth, how did you come up with the idea for Subway Surfers? As always, it was buried deep in my mind. I just pulled it out and brought it to life. Were you confident it would be successful? Let's just say I believed in it. I wanted it to be popular, but I wasn't certain it would succeed. Even though Subway Surfers was a massive success in my past world, I couldn't be sure it would gain the same fame here. I saw it as a test of compatibility between the two worlds. How many people worked on the game? A whole 6 of us, I replied with a mock serious tone. Are you planning to release a new game soon? Yes, we'll start developing it any day now. Really? What's the game about, if it's not a secret? It's about birds, I said with a faint smile, lost in memories. Judging by your smile, we're in for another interesting project. We'll do our best not to disappoint. Our conversation continued until we reached my building. Alex, do you live here? Vicky asked. Wide-eyed. This place is famous. How on earth did you buy an apartment here? I heard the prices are insane. Don't remind me. Thinking about it still hurts, I said, recounting my tragic tale of real estate. You could have chosen something cheaper. It's my little indulgence. I only pick the best. Is it because you were poor for so long? Maybe you're overcompensating? Psychological trauma and all that? I don't know. I won't deny it, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's it. Let's go in. I opened the door to reveal the luxurious interior of my apartment. Wow, it's beautiful. Vicky gasped, enchanted. Tea, coffee, espresso, cappuccino, juice, compote. What'll it be? You know, in these cases, a lady is usually offered wine or champagne, she teased. But I know you don't drink, so you probably don't keep any. I'll take orange juice if you have it. Sure, just a minute. Alex? Yes, I asked, opening the fridge to retrieve the juice. Why did you run away that night after our first date? You refused to spend the evening with me. Was there a reason? Are you a broken bar gay, by any chance? I nearly dropped the decanter. What kind of ridiculous thoughts are born in your red head? I'm as straight as they come. The most natural naturalist of naturalism. Then why? I'm curious. Ugh, that bad habit of yours always digging for answers. Fine. You would have found out sooner or later anyway. I have a broken bar, a little quirk. Why do I have a bad feeling? I want a harem. And there it was. The silence stretched between us. In theory, I should slap you right now, you know? Yes. That's exactly why I refused you that day. I was afraid you'd kill me. And what's changed now? Why are you so bold? This time, I know you won't leave me. You'll accept me as I am. What makes you so sure? I could leave right now. I won't let you. I grabbed her waist with one hand and traced the contours of her face with the other, stopping at her soft lips. Getting bossy, are we? I'm starting to like it, she purred. So Broken Bar, are you going to get down to business or not? Warning 18 plus. Victoria jumped on me, and I greedily dug into her lips. Sitting on top and almost tearing my clothes, she began to cover me with kisses, going lower and lower from my lips to the groin area. Moving down to my groin, she began to slowly caress the head of my cock with her tongue. Victoria swallowed the cock completely and began to rhythmically move her head as if licking a lollipop. Stopping, she began to take off her dress. At this point, she did not take her eyes off me, trying to catch my every emotion. I knelt down, pulled her towards me, and began to establish a wet path, swirling my tongue around her navel. Then I went down to her mound of hair and began to please her there. Feeling my caresses, she no longer controlled herself. She gave in to the overwhelming feeling of pleasure. With her hands, she buried herself in my hair and pressed me with even greater force to her crotch. A quiet, drawn-out moan escaped from her chest. Such unusual spasms overcame her and she went limp. After a short respite, Vicky wrapped her arms tighter around my neck and wrapped her legs around my torso, immediately feeling the not small phallus of her lover. We intertwined in passion and kissed, biting each other's lips. Having torn myself away from her tender, but already bitten to the blood lips, I began to suck her breast to give her more pleasure. We continued our mad galloping for another 30 minutes, and then we both leaned back on the soft bed. I wanted to let her rest a little, but after a couple of minutes, having caught her breath a little, Vicky climbed on me again. A Broken Bar at 6 in the morning, my biological alarm went off, and I opened my eyes. The dawn was bright, even though curtains covered the window. I glanced at the girl curled up in my arms. I didn't want to disturb Victoria's sleep. We had played too much the night before, and she was exhausted. Putting on some clothes, I stepped onto the balcony and quietly admired the view. From this spot, I could see the river flowing peacefully. The sun was rising above the horizon, and the sky was painted bright orange. Normally, I would go for a run at this time, but today I decided to work out at home. After buying this place, the first thing I did was set up a gym with all the necessary equipment. I turned on the treadmill and began running, gradually increasing the speed. You know, I prefer running outdoors in the fresh air. However, sometimes there simply isn't enough time for that. After finishing my warm-up, I took a shower and headed to the kitchen to cook's breakfast. Waking up, Victoria slipped on my shirt and joined me. While I was walking here, a thought crossed my mind. I wondered if you cook as well as you compose music, she teased, sitting at the table. I hate to disappoint you, but my skills in cooking aren't impressive. I can only make the simplest dishes, so I usually eat out. You clearly need a woman's touch. I wouldn't mind a pair of helping hands around the house. Come on, dig in, I said, placing sandwiches and fried eggs on the table. Not bad at all, the journalist commented after trying a bite. What? Is there something on my face? No, I'm just waiting for you to start the conversation about yesterday. Oh, fatter Broken Bar. She hesitated. I don't know what to say. I love you, Alex, and I don't want to lose you. You know, when I first met you, I immediately felt something special about you. It was that feeling that made me agree to go on a date with you. That day. There's this mysterious aura around you, and I've always had this nagging thought that I couldn't keep you to myself. Hey, I'll never leave you a Broken Bar. That's not what I mean. It's just a Broken Bar. You're not someone who could belong to me alone. I should have left you at the start, but now I'm in love, and it's too late, she sighed, resigned. Is it really that bad? What do you think? I'm not too keen on sharing what should only be mine. That was blunt, I replied, rolling my eyes. Listen carefully. You have no right to refuse me now. I may have come to terms with your obsession with polygamy, but only because I believe your feelings for me won't change. And I hope my love for you stays the same as it is now. You can be sure of that. I'd never let our vessel of love run dry. Those words give me hope, she said, lighting up the room with her smile. Victoria, want me to show you a little trick? Ha ha, surprise me. Watch this, I said, picking up a pepper shaker from the table and holding it in my hand. Say the magic words. Barabi barabuma broken bar. I opened my fist, and the pepper shaker had disappeared. What? How did you do that? She exclaimed in surprise. And now, I said, clenching my fist again, the pepper shaker reappearing. Aku. I shouldn't have played with it. I rubbed my nose. Bless you. So, what's the secret behind the trick? Everything genius is simple, I said, revealing how I moved the object to my inventory, making it vanish. What is this? Victoria asked seriously. As I explained the principle of the technique, her confusion only deepened. I had no intention of hiding this ability from her. I'd never reveal to anyone that I came from another world, nor would I share that I had a defective player system. However, my spatial pocket wasn't a secret that needed to be kept locked away. If I ever needed to reveal my abilities to her in the future, it was better if she knew in advance. I wouldn't want to explain myself when time was of the essence. Besides, I trusted her to keep the secret. So, you're saying you just use magic? Victoria asked, trying to make sense of it. It's not magic, it's just my unique ability. I'm not a mage if that's what you're thinking. Although, I've always been fascinated by mysterious powers. A broken bar. Wait. Are you saying magic is real? That's nonsensey. It doesn't exist. I have no reason to lie to you. Believe me, it's real. It wasn't surprising she didn't believe me. Ordinary people were oblivious to the existence of magic. Magicians kept their powers hidden. For instance, Zatanna Zatara performed grand magic shows while secretly being a powerful sorceress. Even heroes like Spider-Man and Mr. Fantastic doubted magic, believing only in science. The existence of mutants and metahumans was also a secret to most of the world's population. In the DC universe, metahumans only became known after the Scarlet Speedster's emergence. In Marvel, mutants gained worldwide recognition thanks to the X-Men, whose reckless decisions led to a civil war. Additionally, people hadn't even believed in aliens. Superman's appearance 2 years ago was the first time humanity learned about life beyond Earth. It's safe to say this planet has just begun its journey toward awareness. The reality was far stranger than most people could imagine. My conversation with Victoria lasted half the dire broken bar. The following week was eventful. We continued to focus on promoting the game Subway Surfers and preparing for its first update. Suddenly, my workload increased. I monitored the game while addressing various issues that cropped up. During this time, the IRS decided to pay me a visit. I spent nearly an entire day talking to their representative. From what I gathered, their interest wasn't only due to my company's success, they were curious about the source of my initial capital. I had a hunch about who might have prompted this. It seemed Norwood from Metropolis Music Group turned out to be more petty than I'd thought. Sending the IRS after me was a clever move, albeit a pointless one. I worked hard to get rid of the unwanted visitors. Since I wasn't well versed in tax regulations, Heather stepped in as the lead negotiator. She was a master at it. When the IRS agent learned Wayne Enterprises had supported me, his confidence faltered. He was too small a player to challenge such a massive corporation. Larger forces would be needed for that. However, Wayne Enterprises had a flawless reputation with the IRS, so I doubted higher-ups would dare confront them. As I said, Norwood's connections didn't intimidate me. But he had provoked me. I'd remember this moment, and let him watch his back now. The future holds many uncertainties. I was also visited by a man from Valve Corporation, a computer game developer. We had a rather lively conversation. He came to me with the goal of buying the game Subway Surfers. Of course, why else? His offer was around $400 million. Which is $100 million less than the amount proposed by Wayne Enterprises. Naturally, I declined. However, my interlocutor turned out to be more intelligent than I had expected. He proposed investing half the offered amount in exchange for 49% of the company's shares. A very calculated move on his part. If we continue to release popular games, he would benefit. If not, with that many shares, he could eventually gain control of the company and its developments. Since I had no intention of giving away shares, I gave a firm and decisive no. My guest took my refusal calmly, and we parted on good terms, expressing hopes for possible future collaboration. In 2 weeks, The game was downloaded by 28.6 million people. Of these, 21.7 million purchased the license rights. The amount of in-game purchases was $933,000. Miss Gordon concluded her report. Heather, Barbara, and I were currently discussing the company's future development plans in my office. Half a month had passed since the game's launch, and many things were starting to settle down. The company's operating profit during this time was $11,895,732, added Batgirl. So, what do you think? I asked, looking at the two capable women. You had planned to create a division for computer game development after launching the mobile game. However, with our current income, this plan will have to be postponed for at least a year or two, Heather stated bluntly. Yes, computer game development is on a completely different level. We'll need to find a larger workspace, hire new employees, purchase more equipment, and account for the much higher development costs. And as far as I know, you have other plans requiring significant funds, my assistant continued, her words hitting me like darts. Unfortunately, she was right. Firstly, I had promised to buy a recording studio from Sir Maxwell and Madame Alexandra. Secondly, I intended to look for a publishing house. After all, I planned to publish my books myself. Moreover, I had recently made significant progress in robotics and mechanical engineering, and I was considering applying my knowledge practically. I had several ideas I wanted to pursue, but each required money. As a beginner, I was bound to make mistakes that would lead to overspending. Some projects could be done on a budget, but one idea would require massive funding at least $1 billion, maybe even two. I know that sounds outrageous, but if I missed this precious moment, I'd lose much more in the long run. This is a large-scale project, and I'll need a reliable partner with impressive capital who isn't afraid to spend it. Unfortunately, I couldn't think of anyone at the moment. Bruce doesn't count. It's okay, thought Ufa. I'm not ready to implement this idea yet. Money, money, money. Where could I get it? And in such large amounts? I wasn't familiar with the stock or exchange markets, so investing was out to it's a long-term process, and I needed cash now. Should I try a casino? With my intuition, I could undoubtedly hit the jackpot. But how much? $1 million? That wouldn't cover $1 billion. If I stood out too much in gambling, some mafia group would definitely come after me. After all, the mafia largely controls that industry. Alex, what are you thinking? Barbara asked, snapping me out of my thoughts. Listen, our only option now is to focus on developing the mobile games division. I agree with you. Do you have any suggestions? Our esteemed director of Alratex Mobile, and for now, the only director. First, a question: are we going to develop a new game? Barbara asked, looking directly at me. Yes, I already have an idea for our next project. We'll start working on it soon. In that case, we should hire more employees and organize technical, marketing, client support, financial, and administrative departments. We'll need staff to monitor Subway Surfers and release updates, as well as others to develop new games and applications. Also, I can't oversee everything alone. I need a lead programmer to manage the rest. Hire Paul Diaz for that position. He'll handle it well, I suggested. We also need a manager and department heads. At minimum, we'll need to hire 10 people. Okay. Start recruiting. I'll review their RA copyright some A copyright S and decide who to hire. You want to do it yourself? Barbara asked, raising an eyebrow. You don't trust my judgment? It's not that. I just don't want a rat sneaking into our company or hiring someone who could cause problems down the line. Most managers can't predict exactly who to hire or avoid. But I'm different. My intuition will tell me who's worthy of joining us and who to reject outright. I refuse to grow a hydra that could destroy us in the future. However, I kept quiet about another reason. If any characters from the DC or Marvel universes applied for jobs at my company, I wanted to know about it. Missing such an important plot-relevant figure would haunt me forever. Alex, are you sure you'll have enough time to sift through thousands of RA copyright some A copyright S later? I'll dedicate time weekly to this. Find candidates, and as soon as we've hired enough people, We'll start developing the new game. Okay, I'll begin immediately, Barbara said before leaving the office. How are you planning to solve the money problem? Heather asked, ignoring my already low spirits. I have no idea, broken bar, but I'll figure it out. Don't worry. I won't, Brooks quipped. However, acquiring that much money quickly is nearly impossible. Hey, don't forget what an amazing boss you have. I'll manage you, you'll see. Personally, I doubt it. But if a miracle happens, I'm willing to offer a reward. What kind? How about a kiss? She teased, running a finger across her lips. Done. Consider it solved. I don't know how yet, but I'll definitely figure it out. Good luck, she said with a sly smile before leaving. What a devil, beautiful and smart to a dangerous combination. I began strategizing my next steps. First, let's count what funds I currently have. After purchasing the apartment, I had just over $10 million left. Recently, I received $31,645,023 in royalties for my 4 books sold abroad. It's been a month since their global release, and they remain popular. Readers continued to embrace them warmly. My name is spreading worldwide. Yeah, I'm becoming famous even in other countries. Adding the profits from Subway Surfers, after expenses and taxes, there's about $8.5 million remaining. Combining everything, I have approximately $51 million. Well, for starters, I'll buy the recording studio. After all, I still haven't paid for it. Besides, I promised Mrs. Alexandra to work seriously on my album. Early in the morning, I went to Sir Maxwell's store to finalize the purchase of a recording studio. He offered me a generous discount, allowing me to buy the building for $20 million. Additionally, I allocated $5 million for renovations and the installation of state-of-the-art equipment. Sir Maxwell, I truly appreciate your assistance. You've saved me both time and a lot of headaches. This place has been transformed. On my own, I would have struggled with renovations and finding the right equipment. It was no trouble at all. I have a reliable friend who helped me get everything you needed. Alex, I've also recommended some talented individuals to you. They're capable and eager to prove themselves. Have you considered hiring them? I needed staff. It wasn't feasible to compose and arrange music entirely on my own. Right now, I was the sole artist recording works here, but that wouldn't last long. Eventually, clients would come seeking contracts, especially if I continued to release hits. My head was brimming with musical masterpieces, and I couldn't possibly bring them all to life alone. Instead, I planned to entrust these songs to others who could fully realize their potential. While I wasn't greedy and knew how to share when needed, I was also determined not to let my music fall into the hands of unreliable individuals. Sir Maxwell had recommended 6 young men and 4 women, all under 25 and recent music college graduates seeking work. Apparently, he knew their director and wanted to help these young talents. After reviewing their resumes, I saw they had honors degrees and some part-time experience at small firms. I didn't sense any negative vibes from them, so I decided to hire them. I wasn't overly concerned about their lack of experience. They were young, enthusiastic, and capable of learning. By helping them now, I hoped they'd repay me by remaining loyal to the studio in the future. I've decided to hire them. Your recommendations seem like a perfect fit for my needs. Great, that puts my mind at ease, Sir Maxwell replied. By the way, have you decided who will manage the studio? I don't imagine you'll take on that role personally. Haha, you're right. I'm afraid I don't have the time for that. I haven't found the right person yet, so the director's position will remain vacant for now. In that case, you might want to entrust the management to Vivian for the time being. She's a competent leader and highly responsible, he suggested. I'll give her a closer look. Once the necessary paperwork was signed, the recording studio, now named Alratex Records, officially became part of Alratex Entertainment. I met my new team, including Vivian Diaz. She was a composition graduate, smart and focused, standing about 175 centimeters tall with a short haircut. Vivian was undeniably beautiful, though she lacked traditional feminine charm or coquetry. Instead, she radiated courage and determination, leaving a strong impression. I decided to appoint her as the studio's acting director. Over the next few days, I spent most of my time at the studio building relationships with my employees. Fortunately, being close in age made communication easier. I also started working on my first album. We conducted test runs and began recording tracks, though progress was slow as it was a first-time experience for all of us. Meanwhile, the video of my short concert from the party, which I had uploaded to YouTube, went viral. Within just over a week, it had amassed 161 million views. Additionally, my video for River Flows In You garnered 313 million views. My YouTube channel grew to 4.6 million subscribers, while my Twitter page boasted over 6 million followers. Fans bombarded me with questions about the album's release date, eager to hear the remaining 5 tracks. Not everyone believed the other tracks would be as great as the first 2. Some skeptics speculated that I had used the first 2 pieces to promote the album, hinting I might lack further inspiration. Haters, as always, were unavoidable. The world wouldn't be complete without them. I chose to ignore their negativity, focusing instead on proving them wrong with exceptional results. The other day, Barbara brought a stack of resumes for me to review for her department. After careful consideration, I selected 11 candidates. My intuition told me they were trustworthy and loyal individuals. With the team assembled, it was time to develop a new mobile game. I decided to recreate Angry Birds. In my previous world, it was one of the most popular casual games. The game's plot is simple, I explained. The birds vigilantly guard their nest of eggs, fending off even minor threats like mosquitoes. But during one such distraction, their eggs are stolen by their sworn enemies, the green pigs, led by the queen. So the pigs plan to cook the eggs into an omelette. Naturally, the birds are furious and seek revenge on the pigs. Barbara chuckled. So that's why it's called Angry Birds. Makes sense now. Exactly. The player uses a slingshot to launch birds at pigs, aiming to destroy them and their structures. The pigs can be eliminated by direct hits, falling debris, or being knocked off high platforms. Completing an episode unlocks new levels and new birds with unique abilities. While my team didn't immediately grasp what made the game special, they remembered how Subway Surfers had exceeded expectations. Trusting my vision, they agreed to proceed. We began by designing concept art for the characters. I envisioned the flock of round, pot-bellied birds. In my past world, fans often debated what species these birds were. In reality, they were purely a product of the designer's imagination. I decided to preserve their original design from my memories. Currently, I'm inside a dusty room. Remember how I said that I had achieved a certain understanding in the study of robotics and mechanical engineering, and that I wanted to start applying my knowledge in practice? Well, as you know, to assemble at least some invention, you need a workshop with the necessary machines and tools. I don't have a mansion with a basement where I can build the necessary space for my scientific worker. At least, not yet. That's why I bought this abandoned warehouse. Not long ago, it housed a fan factory, but the company went bankrupt and sold the premises. This purchase cost me $1.5 million. Although the place is small, it's just right for me. For some time, I will conduct research here until I build my hidden refuge. After all, everyone dreams of having their own hidden refuge. After thoroughly inspecting the building, I hired people to do some minor repairs and help bring in and install all the necessary equipment. I ordered machines, tools, various materials, and chemical elements. All of this cost me another $6 million. I was promised that within a week, the premises would be ready for full-fledged work. Well, let's wait. The matter isn't urgent, and I do not complain about having too much free time because I don't have it. So, today is the very day when I will be able to acquire artificial intelligence. You heard me right. I am heading to the Wayne Tower to meet with Lucius Fox. This is a very interesting character. He's not only the chairman of the board of directors of Wayne Enterprises, but also one of the most respected financiers in the world. In addition to that, he is a brilliant engineer and inventor who helps Batman create various cunning devices. I look forward to meeting him. Upon reaching Bruce Wayne's office, I found Fox there. He was a black man of about 50, dressed in a strict suit and business glasses. "I take it you are Alex?" he asked, holding out his hand. "I'm Lucius." "Nice to meet you, sir." I shook his hand. "Nice to meet you, too." "You know, because of you, our company has started having problems. Many employees started playing your game instead of working." "I'm sorry, but that's my job to bring joy and happiness to people." "Ha ha, I guess you're right. I play it quite often myself. I'm a big fan of your work." "I'm glad I finally got to meet you." "You've certainly caused Bruce some trouble." "I know. I tried." "You came to see the artificial intelligence technology." "Let me show you a broken bar." "Can't you just give me the AI?" "At the moment, the cost of AI is estimated at $5 billion, Bruce said, getting up from the table and approaching us. "That would be too expensive a gift." "What a greedy man you are, winged one," I said, smiling in an irritated tone. "Nothing personal, just business." "Maybe we can come to an agreement." "You give me the AI, and I will dedicate my next book to you." "Just imagine, such a great author as me personally writing a work for you, which will certainly become a masterpiece. You will be able to brag about it at social events, and everyone will envy you." "You'd finally catch up with the Joker because I've already dedicated a book to him, but not to you." "So, what do you think of my offer?" I asked, raising my eyebrows in anticipation. "Do you see any change in my face?" Bruce asked, not even raising an eyebrow. "No, a broken bar." "And my answer is the same." "No." "Oh, you devil." "I am with all my heart for you, and your broken bar." My voice was full of resentment. "Well, okay, I will dedicate the book to you anyway, despite your heartlessness." "Do you see what a noble person I am?" "Watch and learn." After listening to my performance, Bruce looked at Fox. "Do you see what I have to endure?" "You asked how he convinced me to show him our AI system?" I just couldn't listen to his whining anymore. "Hey, I'm actually standing here." I crossed my arms over my chest. After finishing our squabbles, we went down to the artificial intelligence department. Frankly, I expected to see a huge area filled with server nodes, nuclear and graphic processors. But to my surprise, there was nothing like that here. My gaze fell on a round metal shape in the center of the room. This ball was about 2 meters in radius. "Is this the entire artificial intelligence system?" I asked, shocked by what I was seeing. "Yes, this is Bion 3001, codenamed Bethany," Lucius said. "I know the reason for your surprise. How can such a small processor support the computing power of AI? Everyone is surprised by this, even us." "How did you do it?" "It's a very interesting story. Many years ago, Thomas Wayne and I visited a small country in Southeast Asia." Lucius began his story, indulging in memories. "There, a famous collector had a small yellow stone. As he himself said, it was the pearl of his collection. None of the famous master jewelers could give this stone a worthy assessment. They believed that it consisted of a chemical element that humanity had not yet discovered. My friend and I became interested in this stone and approached the collector with an offer to sell it to us. But he did not make any concessions, no matter how much we raised the price. In the end, we gave in and offered to help him study the stone. Of course, we were looking for our own benefit. After all, if this really was a new chemical element, then what application could it have? Wait a minute. Yellowstone, artificial intelligence. Here, this reminds me of something. We were in for a shock. Inside the stone, there was what seemed like a living brain. Having made such a discovery, we again offered the collector a fabulous sum, but he was unyielding, and we had no choice but to conduct our own small research in this country. Then we returned to America and began to study the data obtained. We later learned that others were also interested in the stone. Among them was our old friend, Howard Stark. This stone was a real phenomenon. When we returned to study it again, we discovered with horror that the collector had been killed, and the stone was missing. The most interesting part of the story was that several eyewitnesses claimed to have seen the collector killed by aliens who arrived on a ship. Of course, no one believed them then, and everyone considered them crazy. Wayne Enterprises continued to study the information received from the stone, and now we have our own artificial intelligence. This is not a soulless computing machine. Bethany doesn't just have a model of the mind, she literally is the mind. In the same sense that the human mind is the mind, Bruce added to Fox's story. Hell, it was definitely one of the Infinity Stones or the Mind Stone. Now I understand how they were able to invent AI. After all, The Mind Stone is literally the greatest artificial intelligence in the universe. But how did it appear on Earth? Shouldn't it be in Thanos' possession? Maybe his minions killed this very collector and took the stone? Well, it is a very plausible development of events, so why not? So Tony Stark created Jarvis, also from the Mind Stone model? Sounds logical. His father, Howard Stark, definitely studied the Tesseract and left instructions for his son, enabling him to synthesize a new chemical element. Tony used it as a safe replacement for palladium for his miniature arc reactor. Therefore, it can be assumed that Howard Stark also passed on to him the Mind Stone schematic. Everything is clear with these AIs, but how did Barry Allen create Gideon in the future? I doubt he was guided by the same principles. Lucius began to explain to me how Bethany's AI works. Thanks to my enhanced memory and intelligence, I was able to grasp the basics. The main issue, however, was that recreating the artificial intelligence was impossible without the original operating system. After all, it was made with the Mind Stone. In other words, I cannot create an AI without the necessary code components. But I need an AI. I have a vast amount of information in my head regarding this universe. I know the critical moments in future history, and I won't be able to keep track of everything by myself. Artificial intelligence would be a great asset in this matter. In the end, I decided to strike a deal with Batman. We returned to his office, and I began our negotiations. Bruce, give me Bethany's operating system, and all the connecting codes. We've already discussed these, or no? He remained resolute. Okay, let's do it this way. I will give you some extremely important information that you aren't even aware of. You've already seen that my knowledge is quite vast and significant. Yes, that's what worries me, a broken bar. Hey, we've already discussed this topic. Let's not replay the same argument. My previous words about your son turned out to be true, after all. Have you talked to Talia about this yet? No, a broken bar. I'm not here to judge, but eventually, we will need to decide something about this. Listen, what I want to tell you could be a huge shock. Perhaps even more so than the news about your son. This news is both good and bad. Again, you would have found out about it in the future, but under dire circumstances. So, what do you think? Last time, your information was worth only $1 million. Don't forget that I've already returned it. I corrected him. And now you're asking for technology worth $5 billion? Yes, that's right. But trust me, it's worth it. If this information is so important, why didn't you tell me sooner? I remember you said you were going to be my friend, and now it seems you were hiding something important from me. What should I think about that? You simply didn't ask. Bruce, the things in my head, you can't even imagine their quantity or significance. The thing I wanted to tell you today, you wouldn't have known for another 2 or 3 years. That's why I didn't rush to share it. I saved it for a moment like this. Otherwise, we wouldn't have reached an agreement. I'm not hiding my knowledge from you, I just share it when I see fit. If you ever need my help, just ask. I'll assist however I can and tell you everything I know. Just ask. But I'll still keep a few trump cards for our future talks, I added, trying to diffuse the tension. I've always been honest with you and treated you like a friend. You, however, have always seen me as a threat, as something unknown. Maybe it's time to change that? Bruce was silent, but his eyes showed some uncertainty. He didn't know what to make of it all. This entire time, Batman didn't understand me, didn't know where I came from, or what to expect. He kept searching for a hidden agenda in all my actions. But I don't blame him, he's always been like that. Let him continue to doubt and be wary, as long as he doesn't show disdain for someone who truly has his back. Okay, Alex, I'll trust you. From now on, you'll have my support, both as a mentor and as a friend. But I'll still have doubts. After all, as you said, doubt is natural, even with a friend, lover, parent, or child. People doubt because they want to understand each other better. To stop doubting means you stop being interested. You've earned my trust, but you've also earned my doubts, said the Dark Knight, nodding with resolve. Ha ha, yes, doubts should always accompany trust. They're like yin and yang, complementing each other. I'm glad you finally get it. So, about the AI? Oh, you really know how to pick your moments for such questions, Bruce sighed resignedly. You ruined the atmosphere we worked so hard to build. It's almost like your whole speech was just to get the AI. Damn, where did I go wrong? Stop joking around. When you get your AI, spill the beans already. I'm eager to hear what you've got. It's going to be quite a shock, so you better brace yourself. I'm ready, Batman said, his expression unflinching. Okay then, let's start with a simple question. Bruce, what do you regret the most? I have a lot of regrets. A broken bar. I'm sure you do, but let's focus on just two, the Joker and Robin. What do you think about that? Alex, why are you asking these questions? They're directly relevant to what I want to say. The Joker, one of my biggest failures. I practically created a monster, and I still blame myself for it. And Robin, you're talking about Jason, right? Yes, about the second Robin, the one who died a broken bar. My fault. I didn't keep an eye on him. I was late, I was weak. He died because of me. I wanted to save him, give him a better life, and I ended up taking it away, Wayne said, gritting his teeth. The weight of that night still haunted him. How much time has passed since his death? More than 2 years now? Yes, 2 years and 8 months, to be exact. Wreath, what is this all about? Just this, Jason Todd is alive. The final word exploded in the air. Batman's eyes went wide with shock and disbelief. But he quickly regained his composure. Alex, are you kidding me right now? I held Jason's dead body in my arms. And you're telling me he's been alive all this time, and I should believe you? My words are very easy to verify. Dig up his grave and see what's in the coffin instead of the body. Let's say I believed you. But how is this possible? Asked Bruce, demanding an explanation. Do you know why you had a skirmish with the Joker that day? He was hired by Ra's al Ghul to distract you while he destroyed the economy in Europe, but even he did not know what a deal with a madman could lead to. Feeling guilty for Jason's death, Ra's tried to make up for his mistake by lowering the body into the Lazarus Pit, the same one that has kept him alive for over 6 centuries. After all, according to legend, the well not only heals wounds and makes you younger, but is also capable of reviving. Reviving? Batman said darkly. His anger was completely justified. Last time I told him that Talia and Ra's hid the news about the child from him, and now about Robin's resurrection. It's clear why an aura of murder began to emanate from him. Yes, but Ra's himself did not know the consequences of diving into the dead man's pit. In the end, Jason came back to life, but went crazy and escaped. The Lazarus Pit is incredibly dangerous, and you should not play with the dead in it. It pulls out the worst traits from deep within a person. The second Robin had shown a rather cruel character before, hadn't he? So, you made him your partner to help him avoid the fate of a criminal. It didn't work out. A broken bar. Where is Jason now? Why didn't he come back? I could have helped him, the man said with a heavy heart. We would have fixed everything. I don't know where he is. He didn't come back because he harbored a deep grudge against you. It's not surprising, because I couldn't save him that evening. You're wrong. He harbored a grudge not because you let him die, but because you did not take revenge on the killer and only sent him to prison. Bruce sighed helplessly and clenched his fists so tightly that I could hear a faint crunch. There's not a day that goes by when I don't think about killing that crazy clown. I want to do it with all my heart. But I understand that if I do that, I won't be any better than him. And I'm afraid that by killing the Joker, I'll unleash something even more terrible. I agree with you on this. Killing the clown is clearly not worth it. Damn, killing that psycho never led to anything good. Just remember Superman's dictatorship or what I dreamed about in my nightmares, the appearance of the Batman who laughs. Brrrr. Goosebumps. I knows that in a couple of years, Jason will return to Gotham as the Red Hood. The obvious goal is to kill the Joker. This will not happen. I will find Jason and try to bring him back. Good luck, but personally, I doubt that you'll succeed. Having received Bethany's operating system and all the connecting codes, I began to assemble my own artificial intelligence. Fortunately, all that was required of me was knowledge of programming and robotics. Since my workshop was still being renovated, I worked directly in the company, simultaneously supervising the development of the game Angry Birds. Last time, I, so to speak, personally invented Subway Surfers. Now, The main work was done by the employees, and I only monitored the progress of their work. Batman was not in Gotham these days, and Dick and Barbara were in charge of my training. After Bruce dug up Jason's grave and made sure that my words were true, he went to meet Ra's al Ghul. I have a feeling that a very interesting conversation will take place there. So, I finally managed to complete the assembly of my own artificial intelligence. The repair of the workshop was also completed, and the premises were ready for full-fledged work. I was very pleased with the updated building. From an old factory, this place turned into a high-tech lair of a mad inventor. Having taken the AI system unit out of the inventory, I began to connect it to the local computer. Once again, I am happy with the benefits of this wonderful ability. Simply a wonderful thing for storage and transportation. Just so you know, I'm not going to leave Eve in this garage. God forbid they steal it from me. So, Eve's mother system will always be with me. And as you might have guessed, Eve is my new virtual assistant. I've already downloaded her to my laptop and computer, and now I can freely place her back in my inventory. Let her be stored there until better times. Hello, Eve, how are you feeling? I just woke up, so I'm not complaining, a sweet female voice answered, with notes of mechanics. Ha, yes, I have my own AI. What an amazing feeling. Eve, I love you, I said, like a cat who got milk poured. Your words make me happy, but I'm afraid we haven't known each other long enough for the next step in our relationship, my assistant quipped. She has a great sense of humor. After all, the Mind Stone is an incredible artifact. Only a small part of it is needed to create a real living intelligence. Okay, jokes aside, Eve, find me Stephen Strange. He should be a doctor. And Peter Parker, he should be studying at Midtown High School now. In fact, there are a great many characters I would like to find. But for now, I'm only worried about these two. Stephen Vincent Strange, a neurosurgeon working at New York's Metro General Hospital. Excellent, this is him. Keep an eye on him and notify me immediately if he gets into an accident. Dr. Strange. I suppose it will be a long time before he goes to Comatage in search of a cure. I will have to get to know him somehow, but that's in the future. I need to know when he will begin to study the mystic arts in order to prevent the death of the Ancient One. Firstly, she is very strong and can be of great help in the battle with Thanos. Secondly, I would like to take a few lessons in magic from her in the future. And thirdly, she is a very beautiful woman, despite the fact that she is over 1,000 years old. It would be a great foolishness to let such a beautiful, wise, strong, and determined representative of the female sex die. Peter Benjamin Parker, Midtown High School student, age 16. Eve, let me know when they have a tour of Oscorp Industries. I need to know about this event as soon as the proposal for a tour is made at this school. This situation is even simpler. I want to capture the very spider that will bite Peter and give birth to the hero we all know so well. I am not going to change history. Let this arachnid creature bite Parker as much as it wants. But I must capture it after that, and study it properly. After all, who wouldn't want to have Spider-Man's powers? I also want to climb walls, have a spider sense, and be super agile. Okay, now that we've figured that out, let's try to invent something in this workshop. So, let's start creating, or at least trying. We'll see how it goes. Eve, open the new project file. Name it GLM Glasses, version 1. A 3D projection of sunglasses appeared on the table. After scrolling through it a couple of times, I enlarged the inner components of the frame and lenses. How can I fit so much into such a tiny object? Though, I can also use the temple. I feel like Tony Stark working on a new Iron Man suit. Are we working on a secret project, sir? Oh, come on. Just glasses of the future, or as I'll call them, hologram glasses. In theory, they should work as a voice-activated portable supercomputer with an augmented reality interface. They will also allow me to interact with the artificial intelligence interface, that is, with you. The idea for these glasses came to me in the past. With them, I will be able to do several things at once. For starters, I'll hand them out to those I trust and a few members of my company. The glasses will not only allow me to communicate with them but also practically give me the ability to be near them. If I create a holographic projector, I'll literally be able to be in two places at once. I'll be able to direct the Alratex Entertainment Company remotely, without the need to travel between different cities every day. Of course, the glasses will have a partial shutdown function. We should not forget about those who wear glasses due to poor eyesight. I'll also insert darkening technology into my optical device. Everyone will be able to adjust the lens color they need. Today, I worked on a project layout, trying to figure out how to design these glasses. Sir, I'm afraid you'll need a powerful energy source that's minimal in size. Where are you going to find one? Good question. Check. Has Tony Stark by any chance developed a new chemical element? As I recall, the new element was discovered and theorized by Howard Stark. The element generates energy similar to that of the Tesseract. It replaced the palladium core in Tony's arc reactor, which had been poisoning him. Even on its own, it's a powerful energy source, but the element also has a high absorption capacity. If I can get my hands on it, the work will go uphill. Chemical element, TS. Developed by Anthony Edward Stark 4 months ago. Currently not widely available. Yes means. That's good. Did he name it DS? Is that after the Tesseract from which it was derived, or did he just use his initials? Most likely the latter. He hasn't opened it up for public trade yet. But it can be fixed. The main thing is to negotiate correctly. We'll figure it out somehow in the future. Let's continue working. Eve, it's boring without music. Turn on a song. Something from the local hits. Any preferences in genres? No, the choice is yours. I need to catch up. I'm not familiar with the local media culture. It's time to fix that, otherwise, I feel like it will come back to haunt me in the future. So, while I'm working here, I'll listen to songs, watch movies, and learn about important events. It's time to become a full-fledged citizen of this crazy universe. Dancing to a pumping hit, I thought out the future system of GLM points in great detail. Eve, I remembered something. Check the Central City News reports. Was there any mention of the yellow flash? No, but there was a tornado west of the city that was emitting yellow lightning. However, this weather anomaly soon ceased. So that's how Barry Allen stopped the weather wizard, apparently. So the Flash has finally appeared. I should go to that city sometime and meet the people at STAR Labs. Especially Harrison Wells. I had an idea about the negative Speed Force runner. What other news? How's it doing? Yes. The horror book successfully hit the shelves 2 days ago. I was incredibly curious to find out how readers would receive this novel. In this world, the horror genre was very poor, uninteresting, and, most importantly, not scary. But my edition did not have these shortcomings. In addition, since this book was intended for one specific reader, I took the liberty of adding a few moments. As they say, everything for the readers. But I also took the liberty of correcting a few moments of the original source. For example, I completely removed that sex scene with Beverly. Firstly, it's stupid. Secondly, it doesn't affect the plot in any way. And besides, I wouldn't like to be condemned and criticized for something so scandalous. The book it is in great demand. Fans of the horror genre lined up in a long line from the very morning on the day of sale. According to polls, people are eager to know how the author of 4 international bestsellers wrote a scary story. Many of them expressed hope that you will breathe new life into this disappearing genre. Wow. I wonder if I'll be given the title of King of Horror if I succeed. Sounds great. But what worries me the most is the clown drawn on the cover. He looks so much like the Joker. There's no trace of Pennywise here. Why did Bruce decide to print the face of his main enemy on the cover of the book? Let's try to explain it logically. Perhaps he simply decided to tell readers that if you suddenly run into this mug on the street, run as fast as you can. Otherwise, you may become a midnight snack. Well, or he just decided to troll the clown prince of crime. Why do I lean more toward the second option? It's obvious that the first is correct. Oh, shit. But I'm the one who's going to fall under the hot crazy green head of this bad man. Well, just you wait, Moneyba. I mean, Batman. I'll remember this. I spent almost the entire next week in the recording studio, occasionally visiting the workshop and the company. I decided to focus on recording my music album. If at first, we moved slowly due to our inexperience, Now progress was in leaps and bounds. Special thanks should be given to Sir Maxwell. Not only did he supervise this album, but he also didn't skimp on instructions. I asked him to teach me how to make arrangements. In the future, I'll not only write songs but also soundtracks for films. Therefore, this skill is vital for me. Fortunately, I have a fairly high intellect and musical talent, so I grasped everything on the fly. Young arrangers also worked in the studio, so I did not complain about the teachers. But no matter how many teachers you have, you still cannot learn everything in a short time. However, I'm in no hurry. A broken bar. My album is almost ready. 9 tracks have been recorded. Today, we want to finish the last one. It won't be easy, but the studio staff agreed to work overtime. They are impatient, as am I, to let these masterpieces spread throughout the world. While I was playing the piano in the pavilion, Sir Maxwell came up to me. "Alex, we have guests." 2 representatives of the female sex looked out from behind his broad back. "Madam Alexandra, Vicky, glad to see you," I greeted them with a sincere smile. Victoria came up to me and gave me a light kiss. "We came to you because Victoria mentioned that you want to finish the album today," Alexandra began. "And this means that you've already managed to compose all 10 compositions, right?" "Yes, we are going to record the 10th one now." "How sad it is, Alex, you told your girlfriend about this, but didn't even think about such an old woman like me." "This is cruel." She made an offended face. "But I, like no one else, am worried about the release of your album." What you can't take away from Madame Alexandra is her cheerfulness and energy, bubbling over. But it's worth saying that she shows this playful side of her only to her closest people. She's a very interesting and funny woman. She's already over 50, but she doesn't want to hear anything about her age. It's a taboo subject, so when she talks about herself as an elderly woman, don't focus on it. You'll be safer. "Excuse me, Madame Alexandra, please sit down and listen to our finished compositions. I'm very interested in your opinion." "Okay, play them for me quickly." She hurried with obvious impatience. "I also want to listen to your music," said Victoria, sitting down next to Alexandra. "After all, this is exactly why you invited me here today." "Here are the titles of all the works." I handed them the list of titles, and one of the employees brought headphones. "The first 5 are very familiar to us." "I think I'll turn on the 6th one right away," said Miss Harris. "It's called Tears." One of the most touching and soulful melodies. In my past world, there were many rumors and speculations about the authorship of this wonderful music. Some attributed it to Beethoven, others to Mozart. But in reality, the author and performer of this piece was a South Korean pianist known as the Daydream. This melody has one incredible feature: it's able to bring tears to its listeners. It seems to speak of the emptiness inside and the sadness coming from the heart. With its help, you seem to be trying to reach the heavens. "This is wonderful," Madame Alexandra said in a trembling voice, her eyes beginning to moisten. "Alex, I don't know what kind of mood you need to be in for this to come to mind." Victoria left her comment. "I thought that in order to compose something like this, you need to experience heartbreaking pain. And you just went and did it?" "I'm simply speechless." "Me too," the older woman agreed with her. "Except that it's wonderful. You were able to write a masterpiece that is in no way inferior to other works. So, I need to listen to the others quickly." "The next one is called A Comma More," read Vicky. "A Comma More, Love," is a composition written by Paul de Senville and performed by Richard Clayderman. Another outstanding piece from the past world, which seems to tell about love, but love not only for a certain person but for all of nature in general. With this music, you merge with the world into a single whole, and begin to realize its beauty along with it. When the composition ended, the 2 ladies immediately turned on the next one, called Waltz of the Rain. Waltz of the Rain was written by Russian composer Yaroslav Nikitin, arranged by Sergei Kuznetsov. It's amazing how often people confuse different compositions, sometimes attributing them to complete strangers. This is exactly what happened with this piece. In an alternative time, this melody was attributed to Chopin. It is not known who made the mistake first, but it went to the masses. To the sounds of this beautiful music, you want to soar above the bustle, forget about problems, and believe that life is truly beautiful. That case, when every note penetrates the heart and makes you think only about pleasant, kind, and good things. It is calm and serene. In this composition, the shade of weightless sadness that we feel when looking at the crying sky is very light. The music reminds us of a summer mushroom rain, of the shimmering sun in crystal drops on flower petals. A broken bar. What do you say? I asked as soon as the melody finished playing. I can't wait to listen to the ninth. Madame looked at the list in her hand. Ballade pour Adeline. Ballad for Adeline. Who is Adeline? Victoria asked, looking at me carefully. Is she jealous? Of course, yes. Even though she said she would not object to other women, her feminine pride played a role here. What girl wouldn't want a composition named after her that would become a classic? And here, my first girlfriend hears a name that is completely alien to her in the title. How can one suppress discontent here? Vicky, calm down, this is a fictitious name. You see, all the works that appear in my head already have a ready-made title, as if they were composed by other people, and I am only a conduit. Therefore, in tribute to the images that help me in my work, I leave the titles of the compositions in the form in which they first sounded in my thoughts. Okay, I need to calm down. I hope the next melody will help me with this, said the journalist, turning on the ninth work. The composition Ballade pour Adeline was written by Paul de Senville and dedicated to his daughter Adeline. But Richard Clayderman, who performed it wonderfully, made Ballade for Adeline truly magical. When you listen to it, you feel incredible lightness. I myself became acquainted with this melody when I was still a young man. When I heard it, I felt something that did not allow me to breathe, squeezed my heart in anxiously joyful bewilderment. What was it about it that literally captivated me? The awe and fear of adulthood, an indispensable desire to look into that unknown, vague guesses of future worries and losses. Memories of my past life are like a fog, but I remember such moments very clearly. Vicky and Alexandra took off their headphones and assumed a thoughtful look. Amazing, isn't it? Asked Maxwell, in a measured voice. I was surprised every time he started to play them. I don't know what's going on in the boy's head, but sometimes it seems to me that a monster who has lived for hundreds of years is standing next to me. Yes, I completely agree with you. The woman supported her husband. Well, what about the last composition? Have you heard it? No, no one has heard it, the man said. Alex wanted to perform it, but at that moment you arrived. Now, we will all be able to appreciate the latest work of our young genius. We are waiting, Vicky said in a sweet voice full of anticipation. I didn't waste time and immediately sat down at the piano. It is a little different from the others. I think you will understand why. It is called Fa 1/4 hour Release. Fa 1/4 hour Release, for Elise, is a piano piece by Ludwig van Beethoven. This piece has been one of the most famous masterpieces of world music for many years. A real classic. Before this, all my pieces were in a somewhat modern tone. But this is a real old classic. Looking at the surprised faces of those present, I can only chuckle to myself. I understand their deep shock. After all, this melody is somewhat reminiscent of the works of the great Heinrich Mortz. I had time to get acquainted with the work of this legendary composer, and imagine my surprise when I realized that his music somehow reminded me of Beethoven, Chopin, Mozart, and Vivaldi. Of course, they were different, but with similar themes. Heinrich Mortz began his career in this direction. Only in old age, he began to compose melodies in a slightly more modern tone. This melody will show the world that I am capable of composing music that pays homage to the old classical masterpieces, and is in no way inferior to the works of the great Mortz. Having finished playing, I looked at those present. Do you think it deserves to be on my album list? Third person Poff. In a building with cracked walls and long crumbling plaster, where a slight dampness lingered in the air, a man sat reading a book with an ecstatic look. On the cover of this manuscript was an image of a crazed clown holding a red balloon. As soon as this novel hit the shelves, the delighted reader eagerly grabbed a copy, driven by curiosity to explore it. What drew him most was the creative design. The man immediately recognized the clown on the cover, the psychotic terror of Gotham City, the nightmare of its inhabitants. The cover alone was chilling. But what horrors did the pages hold? After finishing the novel, he had half a mind to throw his shoe at whoever dared call it a mere horror story. Oh, number. No. Yes, there were horrors, and they played a significant role. But this wasn't a scare for the thrill of it kind of tale. This was a coming-of-age novel, a poignant narrative about the power of childhood memories and about childhood itself. It was an infinitely painful exploration of the psychological traumas many carry from youth. A terrifyingly authentic story of how such scars shape the lives of grown children. The past, after all, is a mysterious thing. One can never predict whether it will give rise to a hero or a monster. Immersed in thought, the captivated reader found himself momentarily reflecting on his own memories, or rather, yearning to reflect on them. So much had happened in his life, ranging from trivial events to profound ones, that he often found himself confused, unable to remember who he had been before. If asked about his past, he could recount his story with a smile or several. But whether those smiles held any truth was another matter entirely. Remembering is a dangerous act. The past is rarely a pleasant place to revisit. Memory, with its insidious nature, first entices you with a bouquet of pleasures, the familiar sense of childhood, the magical glow of youth, and all its dazzling tinsel. Then it leads you down dark, cold corridors where shadows you've long wished to forget reside. But can we live without memory? After all, memory forms the foundation of reason. And by rejecting memory, do we not also reject reason? On the other hand, why not? After all, no one is truly bound by an obligation to remain sane. Why I insist on sound mind and sober memory at all times? If unpleasant and terrifying memories threaten to consume you, madness is always a nearby escape route. Madness is an emergency exit. You can step over its threshold, leave the nightmare behind, and lock the door forever. Fence yourself off from it. Suddenly, the quiet idyll was broken by the creak of a door. A cheerful girl with bright ponytails, pinned with 2 hairpins, entered the room. "Mr. J, are you okay?" "Harley, I told you not to disturb me while I'm reading." Joker scolded her in a melodramatic voice. Grabbing a handkerchief, he blew his nose and pretended to wipe away a tear. "Oh, I'm so touched." "It's a masterpiece." "So, you liked the book?" asked Harley, plopping down onto a chair and casually putting her legs up. "What kind of stupid question is that?" "Of course, I liked it. The author even dedicated it to me. Look, I'm right on the cover." "Isn't that wonderful? I've always wanted to look the devil in the face without a mirror." "The book cover works just fine as a substitute. You look very handsome on it," she teased. "Do you think the author based Pennywise on you, or was it pure improvisation?" "We'll ask him when we meet him." "But you know, Harley," Joker's manic laughter abruptly stopped, and a thoughtful expression crossed his white-painted face, "this is a very instructive work. The idea of the novel is simple. Some doors only open one way. There are no roads that turn adults back into children." Resting his chin on his hand, he added with a shrug, "But what I loved most was Pennywise's joke to Bill." "Ha ha!" His eerie laughter echoed through the room. "I can't help it. It's so funny. It's the moment I finally lost it." "Ha ha ha!" "Maybe you can tell it to me, Mr. J?" Harley asked, her curiosity piqued. "You wouldn't understand the broken bar," Joker muttered in a low voice, his gaze momentarily distant. Then, suddenly regaining his exuberance, he exclaimed, "But I'll tell you anyway." Once upon a time, 2 people in a madhouse decided they didn't like it there anymore. They wanted to escape. So, they climbed onto the roof and saw that only a small gap separated them from the neighboring building. Beyond that, a string of rooftops stretched under the moonlight to their road to freedom. The first guy jumps over to the neighboring roof without hesitation. But his friend, a broken bar, well, he can't bring himself to jump. He's too scared of falling. Then the first guy comes up with a brilliant idea. He says, "Hey, I've got a flashlight with me. I'll shine it across, and you can walk along the beam of light to me." But the second guy just shakes his head and says, "What do I look like?" "Crazy. You'll turn it off when I'm halfway there." "Ha ha ha. It reminds me of you and Batman," Harley mused, frowning adorably. "But the joke is funny." "A broken bar." "Yes, my dear, you've caught the hidden meaning." "I'm so proud of you." "Ha ha ha. It really is like me and Batman." "I'd love to meet this Alex Wreath. I'm his crazy fan now." Me too," Harley chimed in, her face lighting up with admiration. "I like his detective books, his piano music, and even that addictive game." "So, when will we meet him?" "Not now," Joker sighed, dabbing his eyes with his handkerchief. "I need to calm down after that heartbreaking story, and stop laughing at this damned joke." "Ha ha ha." The half-ruined building trembled with the maniacal laughter of someone whose actions defied all logic. Alex Ispoff. All 10 compositions had been successfully recorded. The album was finally complete, and the recording studio was alive with celebration. Alretex Records had successfully finished its first album. I had kept the process moving efficiently, preparing for its release without delay. Though I hadn't planned to put much effort into advertising or promotion, the album was already a hot topic online. Many classical music enthusiasts eagerly awaited its release. Still, I couldn't entirely ignore the need for promotion. In today's world, no performer could achieve true popularity without it. If great efforts and money were not spent on promoting a new album, the sales volume was often very meager. Modern show business was deeply intertwined with the internet. I made an announcement on my blog, and my numerous subscribers, already numbering 6.6 million, enthusiastically supported me. Heather had previously entrusted the promotion of the album to a young and promising company, McClellan Johnson from Metropolis. However, I had wanted to continue working with the advertising company Adstar from Star City. After successfully promoting the game Subway Surfers, I expressed a desire to acquire their enterprise but was refused. They stood their ground, making no concessions. Then, my sweet assistant suggested refusing their services altogether and giving a chance to a new, promising company. If their work satisfied us, we could discuss further cooperation. Since they were a startup organization, future negotiations would likely go more smoothly. I decided to allocate $10 million to promote the album. This was my first music publication, and I intended to use it as a springboard to enter show business. Vivian, the director of the studio, had already agreed on the presentation and sales rights for my album with the management of Saxophone Music. Saxophone Music was the largest music site in the country and abroad, widely used by countless people. However, like any major platform, they required 50% of the profits. Recording and advertising an album costs a significant amount of money, so without impressive sales numbers, the artist cannot even cover the costs. "Mr. Alex, what should we do about CD sales?" asked Vivian, wanting to know what to focus on. Despite living in the digital age, many people still preferred physical copies. Initially, I wanted to release the album on both CDs and USB sticks, with the number of copies determined by fan preferences. "Does our studio have the capacity to produce CDs?" "I'm afraid we don't have enough resources," Vivian admitted in a slightly tense voice. "We'll also need more people." "Explain in more detail." "The studio requires at least $2 million for operating expenses and about 10 additional specialists." "Okay, here's the plan. Find the right people and send me their resumes." "Oh, by the way, how's our website doing?" The recording studio, Alretex Records, had officially launched its website, where fans could order the physical album. "Everything is going smoothly." Despite no official announcements yet, people have already started subscribing. "I believe they are loyal fans of your work." "I'm glad to hear that." Today, my album Marriage d'Amour was presented on Saxophone Music and officially went on sale. The work on this album lasted more than 3 weeks. It was undoubtedly a significant project, not just for me but for Alretex Entertainment's recording studio. The success of the sales would greatly influence my standing in pop music circles. After all, I was still an unknown pianist who recently gained popularity through stunning self-composed pieces. My talents were undeniable. By the time the album launched, my video for the musical composition River Flows Anew had already amassed 737.5 million views and 7 million likes. The video where I performed 5 compositions at once was watched by 560 million people and received 9 million likes. I/N. Based on YouTube trends, these numbers are fairly normal. Given that the population is double here, this is even more realistic. Thus, many people in the entertainment industry, both openly and secretly, were watching the online sales of Marriage d'Amour. They wanted to see the outcome. Having debuted recently and only on YouTube, I had not participated in events, starred in advertisements, or held fan meetings. I remained quiet and unremarkable. By celebrity standards, I was a wallflower. Could one rely solely on talent and still achieve fame under these circumstances? We'd find out soon. According to the agreement between Alretex Records and Saxophone Music, the album would only be sold as a complete package, not as individual songs. While the average price of a 10-song album was $10, my piano-based edition was priced at just $5. Additionally, the American Recording Industry Association assigns different statuses: gold, platinum, and diamond are based on album sales. A gold disc is awarded when sales exceed 1.5 million in the States. Platinum discs, a symbol of recognition and success, require 3 million sales. The most coveted prize, the diamond disc, is reserved for 30 million albums sold. At the studio, everyone held their breath as they monitored sales. In online sales, it is often said that the first 3 days or 72 hours are the most critical. These initial hours generally determine whether an album's sales will be low, medium, or high. Of course, this isn't always reliable. People are unpredictable. Strong advertising may boost initial sales, but if the album fails to meet expectations, negative reviews can destroy its future. Conversely, music that inspires love can thrive through word-of-mouth marketing. When I arrived at the studio the next day, I was greeted by the entire team. Even Sir Maxwell, Madame Alexandra, Vicky, Barbara, and Heather were present. Did I miss something? I asked, confused. The next moment, everyone erupted into joyous applause. Alex, it's a victory! Alexandra exclaimed enthusiastically. Your album has achieved record-breaking sales. Mrs. Harris was so delighted, it was as though she had released the album herself. When I looked at the elderly woman, whose eyes sparkled with genuine happiness, I felt an odd sense of parental warmth, a feeling I had long forgotten. It's truly sad not to know your own family, or even who you were. Yet, when surrounded by such unwavering support, it's difficult to feel indifferent. I hadn't monitored sales progress, deliberately choosing not to stress over it. But now, sitting at the computer, I opened Saxophone Music's weekly top sellers list. To my amazement, my album ranked first. And this was despite it containing only piano melodies and no lyrics, just music. Within 24 hours of its release, 803,232 copies had already been sold. This exceeded even their highest expectations. Seeing these numbers, I felt an overwhelming sense of happiness. Even though I had been confident of success, I couldn't help but feel immense joy. After all, who wouldn't be thrilled with such results? Everyone's been waiting for you, Sir Maxwell said with a hearty laugh. We're here to congratulate you on your first major success in the music industry. Thank you, I'm deeply honored, I replied with a genuine smile. Over 800,000 purchases on the first day. This result was nothing short of incredible. If North American sales alone exceeded 20 million, global numbers would be even higher. Typically, final sales results for albums are assessed after a year. I couldn't wait to see the eventual outcome. Alex Spov. In a dark cave with hordes of bats on the ceiling. The sound of a body falling onto a stone floor sounded a broken bar. Damn. How painful, I groaned, getting up and rubbing my bruised back. Opposite to me stood a red-haired girl in a fighting stance. Barbara, did I already tell you that this type tracksuit suits you very well? I asked in a flattering tone. Not in words, but your look was telling me so throughout our entire sparring. I think we should take a short break, Barbara said with a slight smile on her face. As you may have already understood, I am currently training hard under Batgirl in the Dark Knight's cave. It's been very hard to catch Batman these days. He keeps showing up and then disappearing. I think the situation with Talia and Ra's al Ghul is still unresolved. I don't know what's going on there. Bruce is extremely taciturn, and while Gotham City's protector is constantly away, Nightwing and Batgirl replace him. The latter, however, is much less common. Well, she is a busy person. After all, she is the director of Alretex Mobile. Moreover, she wanted to start devoting more time to her daytime life, rather than her nighttime one. Having wiped the sweat off herself, Barbara sat down at the supercomputer and began to drink mineral water. At this time, Alfred was quietly cleaning, waving a short broom. "Would you like some tea?" the butler asked casually. "Thank you, Alfred, no need," the girl refused, tapping on the keyboard. "I didn't want to hang around either," and sat down on the chair, stretching my legs. "Oh, what bliss, a broken bar." "Barbara, what are you doing?" I asked, casting curious glances in her direction. "I'm looking at the results of your album. It's been 3 days since its release. It's interesting to see how everything is going. I've been busy all this time and haven't been keeping an eye on it. I don't know about the situation with my album either." With difficulty lifting my butt, I trudged off to look at the monitor. In 72 hours, sales of the album Marriage d'Amour exceeded 2.5 million copies. The threshold for a gold disc was overcome instantly, and platinum was expected soon. But I was more attracted by the rating. Users could rate albums or singles purchased on Saxophone Music. The rating meant public opinion. At the moment, the album Marriage d'Amour had 9.6 points. Many listeners gave their ratings and left comments, and 90% of all reviews for this album were positive. Some liked the composition Marriage d'Amour, some liked Una Mattina, some liked Far 1/4 Hour Release, and some have already listened to River Flows in You many times, and it still does not get boring for them. A user under the nickname Master999 Music left the following review. "I am delighted. I have already heard 5 compositions by Alex Reith, and I really hoped that the other 5 would also please me. After buying them, I listened to them and they not only pleased me, but made me shed a tear. These masterpieces are so touching." Another user, Nikki Spoker, wrote, "I am amazed. What kind of talent, what kind of inspiration does it take to come up with something like this? Each piece is captivating in its own way and makes you immerse yourself in thought. I will eagerly await the future works of this brilliant young composer." There were many similar reviews. "Even better than I expected," Barbara said, slightly surprised. "There is nothing surprising in this." Pennyworth took the floor. "Mr. Alex's creations are truly worthy of the highest praise. They are able to reach the very depths of the human soul. I still have not thanked you for Master Bruce." That night, when he heard your performance in the restaurant and returned home, I saw his soul liberated for the first time, as if he had cast aside all worldly worries. I am glad that Bruce has a friend like you. Thank you, Alfred. A broken bar. "So, is our great musician ready to continue his studies?" "Always ready, Mom." And as we stomped back to the training ground, Miss Gordon cast a thoughtful glance at me. "What?" I asked. "Alex, why do you want to learn the art of combat?" "Well, I need to be able to protect myself and those dear to me." "Are you ready to do anything to gain power?" "No, far from anything. If it will cause me or my loved ones harm, I will give up this power without a second thought, even if it will make me a powerful being." "But you still want to gain power, right?" "In the future, you will look for various amplifiers, great artifacts, or even learn magic. But do you know that the stronger you become, the more dangers will lie in wait for you at every step?" "Is that what you want? Or will you still remain just a genius and delight the world with your creations?" "You know, one wise man once said, the greater the power, the greater the responsibility." I know about the dangers that await me in the future. I know them very well. A broken bar, they will await me even if I continue to remain an ordinary person. Therefore, I would rather become someone who can move the chess pieces than just be one of them. I want to help save this world and the people living on it, to give them hope in the hour of the great crisis. "And how far do you want to go? How much risk?" she asked with heaviness in her voice. "As far as I can." "A broken bar." "But you don't have to." "This is not your calling, Alex." "You're right, I'm not going to become some kind of superhero number. I'll become someone else. Broken bar, something else." She continued to look at me with uncertainty. "Well, it's time to fix that." "Barbara, our conversations have added even more gloom to this already gloomy place." I glanced around the cave. But this had its plus. I suddenly found some inspiration. "Would you mind if I sing you a song I composed myself? You'll be the first one to hear it." "A song? Are you going to compose and sing a song right now?" "Yes." "When I look at you, I just want to pour out what's accumulated in my heart. Taking out a digital piano from my inventory, I activated the recording function, and began to play a melody. To the sound of the keys, I brought out the tune I needed. Barbara, sitting on a chair, listened to the music, continuing to watch me. There was no longer that heaviness in her eyes. Now a feeling of anticipation sparkled from there. Alfred also stopped cleaning and joined as a spectator. Alex is off. Having finished playing the piano, I took an electric guitar out of my spatial pocket and connected it to the right speaker. So, ladies and gentlemen, I looked at the red-haired girl and the grey-haired butler. I just composed a song and called it something just like this. The world owes the birth of this music to one beautiful person. Barbara, it is dedicated to you, I said with a gentle smile, and played the guitar, simultaneously turning on the music I had just recorded on the piano. T/N, got second-hand embarrassment. I've been reading books of old. The legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Hercules and his gifts, Superman's control, and Batman with his fists. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list. But she said, where do you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to. Somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, I want something just like this. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Something Just Like This is a song by American musical duo The Chainsmokers and British rock band Coldplay. In my past world, the song entered the top 10 of many charts around the world, and was even nominated for a Grammy Award. It's kind of funny how this song mentions Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. There's just a slight mismatch with that last one. At this point, the friendly neighborhood guy hadn't shown up yet, so I replaced Spider-Man with Superman. It made sense, and the rhythm didn't change. And almost everyone knew the superhero in the blue tights. I've been reading books of old. The legends and the myths. The testaments they told. The moon and its eclipse. Superman unrolls a suit before he lifts. But I'm not the kind of person that it fits. She said, where do you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to. Somebody I can miss. Oh, I want something just like this. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, I want something just like this. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Where do you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss. Just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. Third person Poff. Barbara listened with bated breath. A broken bar. Alex had always inspired admiration for his talent, but now he had reached a whole new height. To compose music and lyrics for a song based only on one conversation sounds unthinkable. But what is also surprising is that this song has its own special charm, capable of touching the human soul. Having listened to it only once, the girl was already attached to this music. She looked at the performer without taking her eyes off. If you listen carefully to the words, you can understand that Alex is telling her his inner thoughts and experiences. T/N, nope, no one will say anything in the comments. He explains their argument today to her through the song. It is difficult to be a superhero if you do not have superpowers. He says that he has always loved reading ancient books, myths and legends. But every time they talked about Hercules or Achilles, he realized that he was not like them. It is difficult to say whether he would like to take the risk or not. He is not looking for someone with extraordinary abilities, but no one would refuse a fairy tale. Everyone wants to be attracted to someone, to love and kiss someone. Every ancient book has its own wisdom. Every legend or myth teaches us something. And no matter how much he admires Superman, he understands that he is not one of those people who have unearthly strength. But sometimes he wants to put on a hero's costume and soar. He wants to have such strength that he can move mountains. We often think about how much we want to risk in life, and where we would like to go. There are no answers to all the questions, and this is natural. He is not looking for someone with extraordinary abilities. He does not rave about heroism, but he is fascinated by it. He needs something like this so much. Sometimes there are moments in his life when he regrets that he does not have superpowers. Trying to understand the full meaning of the words spoken, Barbara was able to discern a rather obvious subtext. Alex seemed to be confessing his sympathy for her. He said that he wanted to find someone he could trust, kiss and miss. It was not difficult to guess who these words were addressed to, as he did not take his eyes off her throughout the song. The girl asked herself, what should she do? How should she act? She had long felt that when her thoughts touched on this young man, they became disordered. He always complimented her at the right moment, expressed his support, and praised her positive traits. In most cases, he asked her, and did not demand, despite the fact that he was her boss. His words of approval, support, and compliments always made her happy. Until this very moment, she did not understand it. But now, when she looked at Alex with awareness, Barbara felt how gentle warmth enveloped her whole body. A broken bar. Alex's puff. Oh, I want something just like these. A broken bar. I finished singing. The butler burst into applause. It was a wonderful song. Alfred expressed his praise. I'm sure Barbara liked it very much, too. Thank you. I hope so. I looked at the quiet girl. Yes, I liked it, she answered and fell silent again. It seemed that my confession caused her a little confusion. Barbara Gordon. A broken bar. When I first saw her, I felt a sense of obsession. After all, this was Batgirl, the superheroine of Gotham City. She was also one of the most beautiful and desirable women in comics. How would you feel if you saw her in real life? Now imagine how I felt. A broken bar. Every person has a desire to have what he wants. I am not without this sin either. A broken bar. And as I have already told you, in order to win a girl, you need to understand her primary love language. For Barbara, these are words of encouragement, or, in other words, approval. One of the ways to express love emotionally is to use words of support. Compliments are one of the ways to express support for your other half. Verbal compliments, or words of approval, are powerful communicators of love. Another dialect of this language is words of encouragement. The word encourage carries the meaning of awaken courage. Each of us has areas where we do not feel confident. We lack courage, and this lack of courage holds us back from doing the useful things we would like to do. It is possible that the potential hidden deep inside a person is just waiting for your words of encouragement. But here it is necessary to take into account one thing. In no way should you put pressure on your girlfriend in order to achieve the desired result. You just need to inspire her to develop the interests that she already has. Encouragement requires the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes, the ability to see the world from your partner's point of view. First of all, we must find out what is most important to the girl, and only then can we express words of encouragement. In this way we are trying to convey the message, I know, I am worried, I am with you. How can I help? We are trying to show that we believe in her abilities. It is also worth remembering that love is kind, and if we want to convey feelings of love in words, then we need to use kind words. The manner of speech is also important. Depending on how you say it, the same sentence can have different meanings. The statement I love you said with kindness and tenderness can be a sincere declaration of love. But what about this intonation, I love you? The question mark radically changes the meaning of these three words. Sometimes our words say one thing, but the tone of our voice says something completely different. Also, it should be taken into account that love asks, not demands. If we want to develop an intimate relationship, we need to know each other's desires. However, how we express our desires is of great importance. If they are demands, then we thereby block the path to intimacy and push our partner away. If our needs and desires are recognized as a request, then this is a hint, not an ultimatum. When you make a request to your girlfriend, you are affirming her value and capabilities. You are essentially pointing out that she can do or is something that is meaningful and valuable to you. When, on the contrary, you demand, then you turn from a loving person into a tyrant. Your girlfriend will feel not support, but humiliation. A request carries an element of choice. Your beloved can either accept the request or refuse to fulfill it, since love is always a choice. This is what gives it meaning. Words of approval are one of the 5 main love languages. Some even argue that the greatest human need is most likely the need for approval. From the very beginning of our acquaintance, I have constantly complimented Barbara. Of course, I did this only at appropriate moments and in reasonable quantities. Despite the fact that this is her love language, if such words are said inappropriately, it will cause a more negative reaction. I can give you an example of Nightwing. According to our superheroine, he showered her with compliments all the time, but this did not touch her heart. Do not forget to express support for your loved one. I always tried to show Barbara words of encouragement, because this was how I let her know that I believe in her and will always be there. I also tried to keep the notes of demandingness when addressing her to a minimum. And you know, this is difficult when you are her immediate superior. And you know, looking at her now, I begin to understand that my efforts still manage to pave the way for me to her heart. She is still trying to understand the authenticity of her feelings, and make a decision for herself. Barbara, the butler called out to her with obvious concern in his voice. Is everything okay, huh? As if waking up from sleep, her eyes regained clarity, and a firm determination was visible in them. Yes, do not worry, Alfred, I was just thinking. Alex and I will go for a night walk, so the cave remains under your supervision. Don't worry, I will be able to answer Mr. Dick's call if something happens. Go and have a nice walk, Pennyworth said in a warm voice and a gentle smile, as if showing a father's approval of his daughter. It seemed he could see the girl's heart and showed his support. In response to his words, the girl only nodded understandingly. Alex, let's run across the rooftops of Gotham, Barbara asked, heading towards the display case where the Batgirl costume was hanging. Of course, then you need some appropriate attire. It would be a hassle if you were suddenly recognized while you were jumping across the rooftops. You can wear one of Robin's outfits for now, she suggested, pointing to a wide selection of choices. I think I'll still wear something from my wardrobe, I said, taking a few steps back from these stupid outfits. Frankly, I never liked the Wonder Boy outfit. Why did he even choose this bright yellow and red suit? Batman's entire suit is black, even the bat emblem. And thank God it is, because I always hated it when it was on a yellow background. The black armor is completely justified, because the protector of Gotham City only operates under the cover of night. And such attire allows him to be in the dark, as in his native element. What's the justification for Robin's yellow and red outfit? It just draws more attention to himself. Or is that the whole point? Hell, I'm even embarrassed to ask Batman about it. Do you have a suitable suit that can hide your appearance? Gordon asked, doubtfully. I think so. I pulled out a suitable outfit from my inventory and began to put it on. And here I was, in a black cloak, with a white mask on my face. I had ordered this outfit from the tailor Leo Zielinski from New York Marvel a long time ago. And I made the mask myself in a workshop, relatively recently. Now I completely resemble the Black Reaper from the anime Darker Than Black. And allow me to ask this, but why do you carry this cloak and mask with you? Batgirl asked, already standing in battle gear. Just in case, suddenly someone needs my help. With this I can be there in my superhero outfit. I stood in a victory stance, raising my nose. I don't even want to hear more, she started the bat cycle. Get on, and let's go. I didn't hesitate, and sitting behind her, I hugged her tightly around the waist. At first she wanted to tell me something, but in the end she just silently announced her approval. And so, having left the cave, Gotham at night awaited us. Gotham, as always, exuded its mysterious gloom. Even though this city is considered the most criminal in the world, it is still impossible not to mention that it is also one of the most beautiful. Especially its central part, which is built in the neo-Gothic style. Barbara and I rushed at great speed, and the only thing we could hear was the screeching of the wind. The bat cycle is capable of accelerating to 500 miles per hour, however, at such a speed, except for the Dark Knight himself, there are only a few who can saddle this monster. Having driven into the city, we stopped in an alley near a tall skyscraper. So, are we going up? Asked Batgirl, pulling out the Bathook. Wait, Are we going to leave the Batcycle right here? Are you afraid it will be stolen? Believe me, no one will touch the equipment that belongs to Batman. A long time ago, several local imbeciles tried to steal a Batmobile. As a result, 2 lost fingers, and 1 almost fell into a coma from the shock discharge. Since then, everyone has learned one lesson: stay as far away from things with the Bat emblem as possible. Yeah. Although nothing is surprising in this, I am sure Bruce has stuffed his equipment with such an anti-theft system that everyone in the world is simply bursting with envy. But I still don't want to leave our transport in this dark alley, because we will have to return for it later. What do you suggest? Barbara leaned against the concrete wall. It's simple. I put my hand on the Batcycle, and it disappeared. You put it in your inventory? You can put even such massive objects there? The girl began to ask in surprise. How big an object can you put there? I don't know myself. To be honest, I haven't asked myself this question until now. I think I should check it in the future. Okay, hold on to me, we're going up, said the girl in the mask, launching her hook straight at the roof of the building. I hugged her and got as close as I could. After all, no one wants to fall from the roof of a skyscraper, right? At least, that was my excuse, if Barbara had focused on it. But to my great surprise, she was not at all against it. And so, we rushed up. You know, the speed of the Bathook is simply tremendous. I would even say very. And this is despite the fact that it was lifting 2 people at once. And here we are, standing on the roof of a multi-story building. I looked down and caught my breath. It's a bit high up here. And that's putting it mildly. Damn, one wrong step and certain death. Alex, shall we have a little competition? The girl asked with crazy excitement in her eyes. Hey, I'm wearing a mask now, in case you haven't noticed. I put it on so that they wouldn't recognize me, and now you just said my name. Where's the privacy? Oh, my mistake, she said with feigned regret. So, what should I call you? Have you thought of a superhero name yet? What superhero name? You're wearing a mask now. It's the first step towards becoming a good guy in a cape, Barbara said with a fox-like grin, and choosing a suitable nickname, as I understand it, is the second. In that case, call me Intellectual. I spread my arms out to the sides, as if wanting to receive a standing ovation. Intellectual? You've chosen a rather strange name for yourself. And what is the reason for this? Personally, I doubt that you'll be smarter than most other superheroes. So why? Just like that. Agree, it sounds great, Intellectual. I don't know why you should look for a connection and meaning in this name. I liked this word, so I'll be Intellectual. That's it. From now on I've reserved this name for myself. I should notify the Superhero Association about this as soon as possible. Ha ha, good luck with that, laughed my companion. Don't forget to register too. Heartbroken bar. My little joke was able to make Batgirl laugh, but if you remember the events that will unfold in the future, it will no longer be funny. The Great Confrontation, when the law on registration of superheroes was passed. Yes. Now it sounds stupid, but in the future 117 countries will sign the document, implying the registration of superhumans and control over their activities. True, I do not know how this event will unfold in this world. After all, this universe is a mixture of DC and Marvel. Personally, I doubt that anyone will be able to force Batman to sign this document. He would rather tap dance than agree to this registration law. So how about a competition, Intellectual? Gordon returned to the original question. What competition? Who will be the first to run to the Wayne Tower? She blurted out, doing warm-ups. You're kidding, right? We are on the outskirts now, and that skyscraper is right in the center of the city. And how do you suppose that we get there? By jumping on roofs. You know, I am not familiar with parkour. Parkour is not that difficult. In fact, this sport requires physical and mental effort from a person. At first, it will be difficult to make any movements, but soon enough strength and coordination will appear to work out even complex elements. The tracer faces obstacles that seem insurmountable, but gradually he begins to understand that the body can surpass what previously seemed the limit of possibilities. You have excellent physical training, and you have remarkable control to perfectly perform all the necessary movements. Just imagine what you want to do in your head, and direct your body along the right path. Feel every cell, every muscle fiber I absorbed like a sponge. All the words coming from Barbara. You just need to overcome the fear of the outside world and turn the city into a big playground. For this matter, I have a hidden ace up my sleeve. I have no fear of heights, or any other fear, for that matter. The player's mind allows me to maintain a clear and calm mind, no matter what happens. To make things more interesting, let's bet on a wish, suggested the girl. The loser grants any wish of the winner. Hey, this is not fair. I'm a complete novice, and you are a real master at jumping on roofs. But I am still the weaker sex, and it is only natural for you to give us breaks. And what about your equality? Well, one does not interfere with the other, she said with a sly glint. Yes, of course. If the husband earns, then this money is common, and if it's the wife, then it is her personal savings. Women's logic knows no bounds. Here, you will need this. She handed me a spare batuk. If you suddenly start falling, just aim at the wall of the building and shoot. It will save your life. Let's run. She took off and jumped onto the next building. All this haste threw me off a bit, but fortunately I quickly pulled myself together and followed. I was in no hurry. You have to know your limits. Just because someone around you is doing tricks and jumping on roofs doesn't mean you have to do the same. Your body needs to adapt to a new sport. You can't move on to complex movements without trying the basic elements of parkour. Also, don't overestimate your abilities at the very beginning. Having reached the edge of the building, I made my first jump, and when my foot pushed off, I felt like a bird, as if I had completely gotten rid of the shackles of the world and gained freedom. There was 100-meter abyss beneath me, but I didn't pay attention to it anymore. It was an incomparable feeling. When my feet touched the opposite roof of the skyscraper, I couldn't hide the smile of excitement. But my face was covered with a white mask, so it would have gone unnoticed anyway. Maybe I should make the smile on the mask move according to my facial expressions. I should think about this question. A broken bar. I continued running, doing various somersaults and avoiding obstacles. From too great a height, I tried to land on both feet and do a somersault so as not to get injured. My speed began to increase, and I completely immersed myself in this feeling of freedom. In the end, I didn't notice how my foot slipped, and I fell down. But I didn't panic. And taking the hook out of my inventory, I was able to save myself and land on another building. Well, the competition is not over yet, and I rushed forward again. This time, in addition to effective movements and jumps, I made full use of the batuk's capabilities. I accelerated even more, jumping over building after building. At that moment, I seemed to be a ninja turtle. And so, cowabunga. I don't know how, but my feet were already standing on the roof of Wayne Enterprises. But you shouldn't think that I won the bet, because the girl in the bat costume had been waiting for me here for a long time. Who would have doubted at our broken bar? You simply amazed me, Alex. You were able to learn such an extreme sport so quickly. And even when you were falling, you managed to stay calm and use the hook. I was already thinking about jumping after you and saving you, but as it turned out, there was no need. But one way or another, all this does not change the fact that you lost and owe me a wish. I signed up to lose from the very beginning. Okay, say your wish, Miss Gordon, I said, taking off my white mask. Just answer one question. Why did you decide to sing for me? Did you have some specific goal, or did you just decide to add me to your collection? Asked the girl, whose look was full of determination and confusion. I liked you, and I decided to win your heart. I did not pursue any goal, and even more so I did not think about any collection. I am not going to deceive girls. And I simply love you, Barbara. Why? I want it to be true, but I'm afraid that you will deceive me. A broken bar. I never lie. I always strive to tell the truth, and this time, the truth is like this. I love you, Barbara Gordon, I said, looking her straight in the eyes. And what about Vicky? I love her too. It's all a bit complicated, don't you think? Why did I catch your attention? You know, even when we first met, I felt like you'd known me longer than I thought. Did we know each other in a past life? Or did you come from a parallel universe? Did you pick that up from Bruce? I don't think I came from a parallel world, rather from a completely different one, I added mentally. You're right, I've known you for a long time, and I've wanted to be with you since our very first meeting, when you snuck up on me during my game test. And why do you want to have a lot of wives? It's my little quirk, a broken bar. Do you think you can handle a lot of women? Batgirl asked with a sly grin. I'll try, I saluted. Although, it is a problem, with my current state, I am quite capable of satisfying 3 women at once. But in the future, there will be many more, and among them there will be those whose strength will go far beyond human limits. I will have to look for ways to increase my endurance, Alex. You know, when you jump on roofs, it's like you gain freedom. You move away from the bustle of the world. This is the best time to clear your thoughts and think carefully. Tell me this, if I agree to our relationship, you won't leave me? You will love and protect me no matter what happens? She looked at me with a solemn gaze, waiting for my answer. Yes. Okay, then the last question. You have super intuition, don't you? And you never lie. Tell me, will I find happiness with you? Barbara asked in a quiet voice. Perhaps we will have some adversity. But yes, with me you will find happiness and joy. I will do everything in my power so that my words are not a lie. Hey, and what should I do in the end? She asked the question into the void. Although, why am I asking when the answer has long been known? Well, will you hug me or not? Barbara looked at me with irritated impatience. I did not hesitate and tightly grabbed this beauty in the battle outfit of the Defender of Gotham. But at that moment, she looked like a weak woman in need of protection. Only now did I realize how beautiful the city was from this spot. Wayne Tower was undoubtedly one of the tallest buildings, and from its roof there was a wonderful view that could not be described in words. We sat down at the very edge and began to admire the beauty spread out. I pulled the beauty into my arms and, feeling her scent, which mixed with the sweat from all this running, I felt joy and peace. I lowered my head and kissed her on the cheek, saying, "Beautiful, isn't it? But it can't compare to you." Raising her head, Barbara herself gave me a kiss. Fragrant breath was like the scent of an orchid. Our lips and tongue tightly intertwined, as if glued. When the kiss had already reached such a degree that it was impossible to contain deep spiritual impulses, we broke away from each other. Our eyes expressed desire, and we couldn't do anything about it. "How far is it to your house from here?" Gordon asked, breathing heavily. "We'll get there quickly." "Then go ahead, what are we waiting for?" Jumping straight down from the tower, we hooked the hook onto the edge of the building and quietly went down. Taking the Batcycle out of my inventory, I started it, and we sped off into the distance. "It's good that we took it with us. I think you expected this development of events and that's why you didn't want to leave it in that gateway." The girl made her assumptions. "I really just didn't want to leave our transport in an unknown place. Although, maybe my intuition just worked." I gave a smug smile. Having reached my house, we simply pulled out our hooks and went straight up. Fortunately, my apartment was on the very top floor. I put the Batcycle back in my inventory, of course, because I don't want people to start asking what Batman is doing here. Warning 18+. I took off Batgirl's battle gear, continuing to shower her with kisses. While we were kissing, her hands moved from my torso to my neck, trying to deepen our kiss and press herself closer to my body. Having finished with the armor, I hugged her. Our passion was flaring up. My hands squeezed her buttocks. Moaning, the girl broke the kiss, croaking, "Alex, I've never felt so excited before. I want you, and I want you." A broken bar. Kissing, we moved towards the bed and in the rush of emotion found ourselves pressed against the wall. My hands were brazenly exploring her body. I inhaled her scent greedily. Slipping past the elastic of her panties, I began to caress the outside of her pussy. As soon as I began to tease her, Barbara, whose hands were stroking my back, began to quickly unbutton my black coat. We kissed again. I grabbed the girl by her firm buttocks, lifted her up and she wrapped her legs around my waist. Having laid her on the bed, I continued to kiss her along her neck, chin and cheek before aiming at her lips, while my hands enjoyed her body. I ran my hand along her womb, stopping at the elastic of her panties, and when Barbara lifted her hips up, I lowered them down. Then, placing kisses along her body, I began to move down to her wet center. Her mind went blank as I began to pleasure her pussy with my tongue. Soon her hands were in my hair, pulling me towards her. As her body released more and more of her juices, I began to focus my tongue on her clit, and then added 2 fingers, inserting them into her. Soon a loud cry escaped her. Fuck. Yes. She came and covered my mouth with her juices. I freed my cock from the captivity of my pants, and she began to gently stroke it. I, not having the ability to hold back, entered her further. Her face twisted slightly in pain, and I stopped moving to give her time to adjust to the new experience. As soon as Betty got used to it, I began to move slowly, concentrating on pleasing my new lover through kisses and touches. As soon as my actions excited Barbara, she wrapped her legs around me, crossing her ankles behind my back. Her hips began to meet my thrusts, and the girl moaned louder and louder each time my cock was completely inside her. I knelt down, lifted her up, began to move her forcefully up and down my cock, causing the warrior to begin to squirm with pleasure. Shaking her head back and forth, her long red hair flying behind her, she moaned, "Yes, that's it. That's so good, Alex." "Yeah, heartbroken bar," I croaked. Suddenly, she squeezed my cock harder and pressed herself against me as if her life depended on it. Her pussy began to clench, letting me know she was coming. I couldn't hold on any longer either and came. Congratulations. Achievement and Harem King. Congratulations. Achievement received, King of the Harem. Additional characteristic unlocked, Wives of the King. King of the Harem, you have won the love and recognition of 2 women. 2 female individuals voluntarily, being of sound mind and sober memory, agreed to become your life companions. Now, the women you conquer will be more tolerant of your harem. From now on, you will be able to please a woman several times more and longer than usual. For each representative of the fair sex you conquer, you receive +1 to endurance. For this achievement you get +5 charisma points +5 free stat points. That's what was in front of my eyes when I woke up this morning. Another achievement. I still don't understand how this system works. Harem King, huh? However, it is a useful and necessary thing, especially in my current circumstances. It doesn't matter if I know my partner's love language and how I win her over, there is always a chance that she will simply brush me off. Now, although it is not completely excluded, the possibility of such a development has become significantly smaller. And the fact that for each conquered girl I will receive an increase in stamina is great news. And finally, the best of all, free stat points. It's a pity, of course, that this time I only got 5, last time I was given 10. Where is the logic? Or do achievements have ranks that determine the distribution of these very points? Damned effective system. Without thinking twice, I again threw all the points into intelligence. Well, what can I say? This is the only characteristic that I cannot raise with hard work. No matter how much I study, read, learn something new, it does not move from its place. I have a certain theory about this. I think it is connected with the fact that I simply memorized new information, and my thought processes did not experience any growth. After all, I did not train my memory, did not try to go beyond the capabilities of my brain, and therefore did not receive notifications about the growth of this characteristic. But, doing exercises to increase the capabilities of your gray convolutions is a heavy task. I'm afraid I do not have that much free time, and therefore, we are content with what is given. So, let's see how things are with us. Name, Alex Rith. Race, human. Age, 21. Strength, 29. Speed, 28. Dexterity, 29. Stamina, 34. Intelligence, 44. Charisma, 17. Combat proficiency, 19. King's wives, 2. Free points, 0. Skills, passive. Player's mind, active, none. Achievements, Batman's apprentice, Harem King. It's a joy to behold. Compared to my status upon arrival in this world, I am, one might say, a completely different person. If you don't count intelligence, then stamina is, so far, the only characteristic that has managed to go over 30 points. Well, that's quite logical if you think about it. I/N, you can consider stamina as endurance as well. Thanks to my intuition, I was able to figure out these numbers at the beginning. 10 is the average person's score. 20 is a person with high talent. 30 is the characteristic of professional athletes who are approaching their limits. 40 is the human limit. But that's not exact. After all, while I was communicating with the Dark Knight, I was able to understand his approximate values. And, to my surprise, all of his characteristics went over 50 points. If, again, you don't count intelligence. He has much more. This intelligence is just some kind of dark forest. A completely incomprehensible thing, in every sense. "Good morning," whispered a sleepy girl with disheveled red hair. "Good." Coming closer, I gently kissed her on the cheek. "What time is it?" she asked, looking at the phone screen. "It's lunch already?" "We're late for work." "Calm down, today I'm giving you the day off." "Hey, how convenient when your boyfriend is your boss," said Barbara, in a flirtatious voice. "However, we have too much work accumulated. Therefore, it is better not to slack off. By the way, have you already figured out how to earn enough money to further expand our company?" "Not yet, but I'm working on it." "I heard from Heather that you made a deal with her. Is it true that she will kiss you if you can get hold of an impressive amount of money?" "Yes, at least that's what she promised." "Good luck. But I'm still more inclined to your defeat." "But you try not to let that happen. After all, you told me that you planned to develop Alritex Entertainment to a level that was in no way inferior to Wayne Enterprises." "I will do it, you can be sure of it," I said in a confident tone. "I believe you, with your talents. I will be more surprised if you do not do it." The girl giggled, heading to the bathroom. Seeing her slender hips with my eyes, I could not restrain myself and went after her. I spent the next 2 days in the recording studio, working on the arrangement for something just like this. Since this is our first song, everyone treated it with due attention. I sang it several times in the recording studio, wanting to get the best result. And so, as soon as it was ready, I made an animated clip. I did not make any significant differences, and therefore the video looked almost exactly like in my past world. I decided to put it up under the pretext of successful sales of my album. In a week, more than 4 million purchases of the album Marriage d'Amour were made. Having thanked everyone for such a wonderful result, I announced that I had recently managed to record my first song. And as a thank you to my listeners, I have prepared its lyric video. I superscript 1 A superscript 1 It's you, it's all you. Yes, it was Mia. But why? Why did you do it? Thomas, it was inevitable. I couldn't change anything. Now, I was in my workshop with a soldering iron in my hands. Work on the AGLN glasses was in full swing. Eva, run an analysis. If I connect wire S12 and N6, will it be possible to achieve synchronicity? I'm afraid it's impossible. I would recommend removing ... I'm trying to make these glasses work, but we're still a long way off. I'm not Tony Stark, who was able to build a working time travel system in just one night, using only a mock-up of a Mobius strip. I even wondered if he would be able to repeat the process in this world. After all, it seems to me that this universe has more rational boundaries than just a scripted film. You've probably already wondered what kind of dialogues are heard inside the room. It's simple. I'm watching a movie, or rather a 1999 classic, called I Did What I Had to. And to my great surprise, the movie was just gorgeous. No, seriously, I was touched, and the ending just amazed me. Maybe in this world, the media industry is not very developed, but it still has its masterpieces. For example, this is already the 3rd movie that I liked. I am sure that even if it were shown on my Earth, it would still be considered a classic of cinema. Thanks to the fact that my intellect has recently undergone an upgrade, I have learned to divide my consciousness into 2 parts. One is completely immersed in work, and the other is busy studying the local culture. And this is just wonderful. If before I had a little difficulty performing these 2 tasks at the same time, now it is a completely ordinary occupation. Sir, I hasten to inform you that an accident has happened to Detective Renee Montoya, my virtual assistant said, putting me in a short stupor. I had long ago listed the names of all the people to keep an eye on Eve, and, of course, Renee was one of them. What happened? According to police reports, She joined a hit squad hoping to apprehend the criminal known as Scarecrow. But he managed to escape by poisoning his pursuers with fear toxin. The detective also got caught in the crossfire. She is now in Gotham City Hospital. Putting the soldering iron aside, I glanced at my watch. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Hastily washing my hands and throwing on my jacket, I headed for the exit. "Don't wait for me, dear. And be so kind as to turn off everything here." I said goodbye to Eva. After finding the right ward, I immediately went in. Renee was lying on a white bed, looking at some magazine. Noticing me, she put it aside. "Hello, Alex," she said with a casual smile. "How are you, Detective?" "I was very worried about you as soon as I heard about this misfortune. So much so that for the last 3 hours I couldn't get a bite to eat," I said in a worried tone, placing the bag of fruit on the table. But the patient, it seemed, had a policeman's intuition, and she treated my words with a note of suspicion. "When was the last time you ate?" "And what was it?" "About 3 hours ago. I had French fries, a double cheeseburger, and some cheesecake." "Oh, and I also had pizza." "In other words, because you ate so much, you can't eat anymore?" "I guess you can say that." "You're the only one who could say something so weird to me." "Ha ha," the girl laughed, holding her stomach. She was in a pretty good mood. Scarecrow's intimidating gas must have worn off by now. "Still, Renee, how are you feeling?" "I'm feeling much better already, thank you," she replied, lost in thought. "One wouldn't know it looking at you currently." "No, really, I'm fine," she declared, coming to her senses. "I was stupid to chase that lunatic, and now I'm here." "Fucking freak, I'll find him and nail him to the wall." Renee tried to say it in a frightening tone, but there was a little fear in her tone. As they say, women shouldn't be listened to, they should be felt. What she says and what she feels are two different things. I doubt that it's still the toxins business. It looks like she experienced something terrible that scared her pretty bad. Scarecrow's fear toxin pulls out the most secret fears from the depths of the subconscious. "Renee, look at me." I met her eyes. "I'm your friend, and I'm ready to help you. No matter what happens, you can always count on me. I'm not going to judge or blame you for anything, because whatever you do, it's your choice, and I respect that." Each word of mine seemed to tear apart the protective layer with which she had fenced everyone off from her heart. Tears rolled from her eyes, her shoulders suddenly trembled. I immediately hugged her, wanting to calm her down. The moment I inhaled the Scarecrow's gas, I suddenly found myself at home. The girl began her story. "My family and I were sitting at the table, father, mother, brother and I. And suddenly, they say that people told them that I was a lesbian." Her voice trembled, as if from fear. "I tried to convince them that they were deceived, but they didn't believe me." A broken bar. "Alex, I didn't tell anyone other than my brother that I'm a lesbian. I'm afraid." She fell silent, waiting to hear my reaction. "I knew about it from our first meeting," I said, which shocked her. "How? From where?" "Let's put it this way. I am very good at understanding women." "I didn't tell you that I know because I wanted you to tell me yourself. Then we would have become real friends." "Of course, everyone has secrets, and I am no exception. But friends exist so that we can discuss them, don't they?" "Yes, it is really good when you have someone to whom you can pour out your soul." A broken bar. "I'm afraid, Alex, I'm afraid that my family will find out about my secret. This is my worst fear. My parents are very religious, and if they find out about this, they will certainly disown me. I don't want to lose them. It's so difficult when you are different, and people don't understand you." "Yeah, a tough case." But Two-Faced really did reveal her non-traditional orientation to the public, and as soon as her family found out about it, they abandoned their daughter. Real chaos came into her life. A broken bar. "I can't allow history to repeat itself, and therefore, the best choice would be to follow the original plan. We will try to reason with her." "Don't worry about it." "Listen to me, Renee," I said in her ear in a quiet voice. "If your parents ever find out about your secret, then come to me right away. I'll settle everything." A broken bar. "But how?" "It's a secret. Believe me, I have my own ways, and I can calm your family down." "Okay, I hope they never find out about this," the detective said, with a heavy heart. "Well, here we are, one step closer to each other, I began to hug her tighter. Yes, but apparently you missed the moment when I admitted that I'm interested in girls, not boys. She pushed me, and I fell on the marble floor. It didn't hurt at all. Compared to the Batman's cave, which has an uneven floor surface, this place is like cotton wool. Well, or I've already completely killed all my pain nerves and don't feel anything. Will this really affect our future relationship? We can still be together, I said, clutching my heart, like a man in love. Wow, is there really a confession brewing here? A rough voice reached us from the exit. Commissioner Gordon, Detective Harvey Bullock, and two other unknown-to-me police officers in uniform entered the ward. Renee, were you able to charm this young man? Bullock asked, with a mockery in his voice. Ren, don't be lazy. Remember, he's pretty rich. Don't miss your chance. Shut up, Harvey, Montoya shouted at him. It was just a show. Alex and I are friends, not what you think. I greeted the law enforcement officers, and at the same time met two unknown people. They also came to the hospital to visit Renee, although that was obvious anyway. As the conversation progressed, our dear visitors got to my bag of fruit. Since they had come straight from the station, they had forgotten to bring any treats. Therefore, my bag became the main object of their investigation, especially for Bullock. The patient, for whom all these products were intended, did not object, which gave him complete freedom of action. Of all the fruits, grapes got the most. This unfortunate detective decided to show off, and, throwing one berry up, tried to catch it in his mouth. No luck. Harvey, that's not yours, Renee commented on his actions. Let me show you how it's done, said one of the two cops I'd recently met. But he, too, was in for a treat. The second cop volunteered to try, but the fruit ended up on the floor again. Do you all have such crooked hands? Montoya asked with obvious irritation. It must be because of you spinning the spinners all day, I put in my 2 cents. But no one appreciated my sarcastic comment. What are you talking about? James looked at me in confusion. Well, a spinner. Wait. You didn't get me? Wait. If no one in this world has heard of them yet, I need to check this out ASAP. Renee, I'm sorry, I have to run. Get well soon. I kissed her on the cheek and quickly walked out of the room. How could I have missed this? Damn it. If this works out, it will solve my capital problems, albeit in the short term. I burst into the workshop at full speed. Eva, call all hands on deck. Sir, I thought you said not to wait for you. Circumstances have changed. Well, I need to check immediately if anyone has filed a patent for a design consisting of a bearing that rotates using an inner ring and a separator with balls, I said impatiently. In my previous world, North America was practically crazy about fidget spinners, simple turntables that you spin by squeezing the central bearing between your fingers. They were featured on the morning news and in print media. Popular video bloggers posted funny videos daily, showing unusual varieties of spinners or scaring cats with them. They were among the best-selling products in online stores in the games and toys category. No patent for a design similar to your description was found, my virtual assistant said, like a mantra for my ears. Yes. Wow, I was even a little worried. I still have fresh in my memory the information about how the inventor of these very spinners could not retain the right to authorship of her toy. I will not allow this to happen, and therefore, the first thing to do is to patent this invention. Having turned on the holographic table, I began to construct a 3D model of the spinner. The bearing in the spinner works due to rolling friction, and the bearing itself consists of a separator, an inner ring, a shaft, an outer ring and balls, and all this is packed into the bearing housing. I remember well not only the design, but also various models of this soothing trinket. Having worked on their production all night, early in the morning I went to file an application for a patent of my creation. The only trouble is that it will take a lot of time to review my application. And as you already know, time is precious to me. Therefore, I spent a total of a whole week running from one point to another. I met people who could help me, learned the necessary information from them, and of course, bribed. Where would we be without it? 1 week, minus $200,000. That's exactly how much I had to pay to get my patent approved. But I have no reason to complain. because otherwise I would have had to wait at least a year. It's a good thing this is just a toy design. If this were a new technical achievement, even if I paid $1 million, I would wait like a stag until all the formalities were completed. And they sometimes last even several months or a year. So, the spinner is ready, the patent is approved, I'm in a good mood, which means I can go to our bat and have more negotiations. In order to implement my idea, I need a reliable partner. I can't do it alone. Firstly, I don't have enough money to organize large-scale production of these spinners and their subsequent distribution. Secondly, in order to spin this reel with a bearing, it is necessary to attract the media, video bloggers and television. I don't have such extensive connections for this yet, and who else but Bruce can help me in this difficult matter? If I offered my plan to someone else, then with great probability, I would have been sent far away. Having reached Wayne Tower, I went straight up to the office of the company chairman. I found the hero of Gotham completely buried under a mountain of waste paper. Apparently, while he was running around and sorting out the issues of his offspring and miraculous resurrection, he had accumulated a lot of things to do. I haven't talked to him about this yet, and I don't know how his confrontation with the head of the League of Assassins ended. Well, now we'll find out. Bruce, it's good to see you, I greeted my friend. How are things on the family front? Alex, you're here again, which means you need something from me again. He leaned back in his office chair, sighing heavily. What is it this time? Well, yes, but my business can wait. Let's talk about yours first. I sat down at the table. Well, have you already dealt with your ex and her megalomaniacal dad? Don't be stubborn, I'm your friend, come on, spill it all. Sigh, I don't even know where to start. A broken bar. Start with Damien. What did you decide about him? Talia and I came to a compromise. Co-parenting would be the best solution. But it would be better if I took full custody of my son, Bats said in a gloomy tone. Don't you want to leave him under the guardianship of the League of Assassins? When I came to Raz, do you know what I happened to see? A 6-year-old boy was thrown into the abyss of a snowy mountain. He broke his wrist, but continued to climb up, wanting to reach the top, because his life was at stake. I suppose Raz wants to make him his successor, since you refused, right? Yes, and he will raise my son to be the kind of person he wants to see at the head of his clan. Someone who is not burdened with morality and only knows how to kill. Preparing a future ruler of the world? I asked with irony. How will he rule humanity if he can never become a part of it? Bruce said, getting up from his chair and going to the window. He will be under my care every winter and summer. The rest of the time Damien will spend with his mother, with Talia. I suppose there weren't so many problems. But how did you persuade Raz to do this? I asked politely. Wayne grinned. Okay, if you don't want to, then don't say it. Well, now you've become a full-fledged father, congratulations. I'd say thank you, but I don't feel like it. Listen, you'll be raising your son. That's just wonderful, isn't it? His grandfather is sure that you can't do anything about his destiny to become the next head of the League of Shadows. In that case, maybe we shouldn't break the old man's heart? What do you mean? Let Damien decide for himself whether to lead a clan of killers or not. We just have to make sure that he will do the right thing in the future, because it is right. Even if he takes on the burden of leading this organization, we will know that he will no longer be the heir that Raz wanted him to be. He will be above it. My words made Batman think. I know that Damien is a very smart boy, and that he does not have an implacable hatred in his heart for the human race. He is a child who was raised as a future killer. He didn't know any other life, didn't understand the joy of being an ordinary schoolboy, having fun with friends. Only after he became the new Robin and joined the Teen Titans, he began to realize all this. I will do everything in my power to ensure that my son grows up to be a worthy man, Bruce said in a firm tone. Don't be afraid, we'll get through this. You're not alone. Alfred, Dick, Barbara and I will help you in this difficult time. I would say thank you, but for some reason I don't want to again. He threw a suspicious glance at me. Yet, I am grateful to you, Alex. Ha, what are you saying? By the way, did you happen to find Jason's location? No, I didn't even find his shadow. He's good at covering his tracks. But I'll find him. Since the world's greatest detective says this, it gives me hope, I said. folding the paper airplane. "Since we've finished talking about me, maybe you can tell me now why you came." He sat back down in his chair. "I have a business proposal for you. And we're talking about billions." "Oh." The man raised an eyebrow in surprise. "You know how to intrigue." Having pulled out our rotating bearing from my inventory, I threw it to my interlocutor like a shuriken. "Of course." Batman caught it right away. "What is this?" He began to examine my gift. "A spinner is a triangular toy that you can spin on your fingers. Try it." The toy's impulse provides a pleasant vibration. "Do you feel it?" "It seems so," Bruce admitted, watching the spinning structure. "And what? You want my company to sell this toy?" "Yes, and I also want you to start mass-producing them," I said, as if it were obvious. "I thought you said that we were talking about billions. But this is not even close." "It's an ordinary toy. How much can it be sold for?" $5–10. "I don't see any commercial benefit in it." "Bruce, trust my intuition. We can make billions on this toy." "Have I ever failed since my ascent?" "No, because I know what I'm doing." "Until now, all your victories were in the field of literature, music and games. And toy production is something completely different. And besides, why did you think that this spinner of yours would become popular?" "In order to talk about billions, you need to weigh everything carefully first. Business is a cruel world." "They will become popular, as paradoxical as it may sound, because of their low technology." "In the era of electronic gadgets, children and adults need a toy that they can hold in their hands for a long time, but which does not require concentration." "You know that parents of children addicted to smartphones often consider this hobby harmful or even dangerous. But I am sure that they will generally be loyal to these harmless toys." "We can also say that spinners are an excellent anti-stress product." "It seems that you have prepared well. But you must understand that popularity does not come out of nowhere. If you fail to advertise the product correctly, then you can forget about profit." Wayne shared his many years of experience in business. "Don't worry, I know what to do." "Do you have friends in famous world magazines, say, in Forbes?" "Let's say they're area broken bar." "The media can make good advertising for our spinners." "We need one of the Forbes journalists to write that the spinner is a thing that must be in every office, that it is a must-have office toy. After that, it would be desirable for other magazines and newspapers to start writing about them, for TV channels to start broadcasting them. Journalists and presenters would talk about how these toys can relieve hyperactivity syndrome in children and cure adults of anxiety." Of course, these are controversial points. Perhaps some psychologists will consider this hobby at least useless. But this will also bring excellent advertising. But most importantly, we need the help of video bloggers. We need videos on the internet in which users would show tricks with spinners, as well as training videos on how to spin a spinner for beginners. "And as I understand it, I will have to do all this," the Dark Knight said in a neutral, calm tone. "Why would you do it?" "Your company will do it," I corrected my friend. "And I think you are not going to share the production costs." "Yes, I would be happy to, honestly. But I don't have that kind of money." "So, Wayne Enterprises will have to pay all the advertising, production and sales costs themselves." I looked at Batman with puppy eyes. "And what's the profit split?" 50-50, I said, in a completely unperturbed tone. "So, all expenses, all risks, are borne by my company, and the share is divided equally?" "Well, yes. The idea and the plan for its implementation are mine. And then, I am the full owner of the patent for my toy. I, so to speak, give my approval for this business to your enterprise. And I am not even the least bit greedy, because I am splitting our profits equally." A sudden silence fell in the office. We silently glared at each other until Bruce decided to break the lull. "Find some other idiot for Thieves a Broken Bar." Hey, why do this?" "You yourself do not believe in the success of my toy, and even more so you do not believe that this venture can bring income to your company. So why not take a risk and try? If we succeed, we will both win, especially you." "Okay, I will listen to you, again." "Excellent. We should immediately begin mass production. It is necessary that they appear on the shelves of the largest retail chains and on the websites of online stores as soon as possible. The average selling price is from $5 to $10. However, we should not forget about the collectible ones, which exist in a single copy. It will be necessary to make these special tops. Their prices will vary up to several hundred. So, when will Wayne Enterprises be able to make the first batch and distribute them among stores? We will need about a week and a half, my business partner calculated. So, in a week we will actively bombard the media, the internet, and television. We will succeed. I am sure of it, I said in a muffled voice, launching the airplane into the slightly open window. Let's hope so. When will Damien arrive? I asked, trying to distract myself for a while from the thoughts that filled me. In winter. So, you will be able to celebrate Christmas with your son. Miracles happen. No, magic just exists. A broken bar.